Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, your girl, the one and only Tiffany E, aka Smackdown TV2, and I am here to give you guys all of the tea when it comes to wrestling and maybe a little bit of odds and ends in between there. So why don't you go ahead, go get your snacks, go get your juice, go get you a good drink, a good glass of wine if you can drink it. If you're underage, don't be drinking, okay? Go on and get you some juice or something and sit back and listen as we kiki and holler about wrestling. Because over here, you get a plethora of things when it comes to my show, okay? You get wrestling commentary.
No benefit of the doubt. Dr. Phil say don't do that. Dr. Phil say when somebody show you who they are, and so did Maya Angelou, believe them. Them two hoes are snakes. They been snakes, and them hoes was like that when you got there, and they like that now, so fuck them both. And they did the right thing by letting them headline WrestleMania. They most definitely deserve to headline WrestleMania. And that is how you close a Mania.
What else we get? You'll also get a weekly recap of every single show that WWE has to offer. Monday Night Raw after show, NXT after show, and of course a Friday Night Smackdown after show. You'll also get a recap of all the Big 5 PLEs. I even do the Saudi shows for you. And then, if it's good and worth the time, I may even throw a little AEW in there. But of course, I will do my best to make sure I recap as many PLEs as possible. If I don't have it, then I'll throw it to one of my friends who do know it. We also cover pop culture, and we have really good time over here with lifestyle and just giving advice. So, if you're ready, it's showtime, and that is on the Ancestors, baby. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna give just a few minutes so I can get the pictures and stuff uploaded because I did not have time to upload it before. So I just need a few seconds to get that done. But don't worry, I am coming in and I will do the top commenter of the day and we'll get started. So just hold tight.
Still don't know my words, still stressing perfection. Let you all in my mental, got me looking too desperate. Damn, you ain't desired.
Honestly, that sound like a fair trade to me. Rolling 80 wheels in a safety. Gotta roll over T, gotta give her release. Spread your legs downtown, so I'm going out to eat. Hit the raw sounds when the rock up in your city. I'ma roll on the forever, let her roll on me. Split this one down the middle, wake up in a harmony.
Eclipse.
Who the hell told you tonight was open mic night, bitch?
Well, I did. It's open mic night, bitch.
Let's get into it. It's Monday. It is Saturday, and it's Friday actually, and we are going to be talking about it's Friday. Just so y'all know, we're going to be talking about Smackdown. I'm going to get into the top commenter of the day in just a second. Yeah, we're going to talk about all of that, and we're going to talk about what's going to happen on Monday Night Raw because we must. It's a part of our show. Yes. And we will talk about Saturday, which is tomorrow. It's a big day for Impact. Impact Slammiversary is like it's mania. And it is, of course, going to be awesome. We're going to get into all of that today. And if you stay a little bit longer and humor me a little bit, you guys can listen to Rico and he can talk about his book because his book is really good. And I do want him to get the opportunity to talk about it because I promised him that I would. Okay. So let's get into it. Did you guys watch SmackDown? I hope that you did because if you didn't, you truly missed a treat. Those of you who had to work, I totally understand, but you missed a good treat if you missed SmackDown. It was actually a very solid, well rounded show today. And we don't get that often. It's very rare that we get an even kill show. Okay. Oftentimes we're stuck with a heavy aspect of the bloodline drama, or we're stuck with a heavy aspect of like something to go on with Theory, the pretty deadly, brawling brutes. But today we got a nice mix of everything. So let's get into the top commenters of the day. My moderator and one of my little sisters, this is Kenny Ken. She's number one commenter today. Okay, Kenny came in and she not playing with you all. She was like, I'm at the top. I'm at the top today. Young Boy Jay was the second top commenter of the day. And to round out the third, we got Aaliyah. She is also a moderator on the page. Okay, now I'm just going to remind you, my moderators are very protective of this chat and they will kick you out if you are out of line. So I suggest that if you are going to be a little shady, that you make sure that what you say isn't attacking me or anyone in the chat, because if that happens, they are real swift with the block button. Okay? With all that being said, Kayla is always an honorary moderator and, of course, an honorary top commenter because she is either in the top 5 or she's one of the 3. Always. Kayla rarely misses a day. Okay, so hello, Kayla. Hello, Hiram. He's another moderator as well. Nika is here. My regular deglers. Sasha's here. Hello. Brandy's here. Hi, Brandy. It used to be Brandy. Brandy used to be in here with the quickness, but Brandy got to work. Yeah, so Brandy be missing her top commenter of the day. Okay. She said, nope, I've been too heavy into Walking Dead games. Lord have mercy. You missed it. It was a good show, honestly. Well, happy birthday to your father, Kayla. I hope he has a good day. I watched it. It was good. She said, I'll chop you in your trachea, period. Who playing Clementine? What?
The main character on the Walking Dead video game, his name is Clementine.
How do you even know that?
Jordan plays the Walking Dead game.
Jesus, be a girl. Let me see what else Kayla said, because I didn't get to see her comment. Okay. Oh, she said tomorrow's her dad's birthday. I want to make sure I said it right. All right. And the day after that is mine. I'm quick. My hands are lethal weapons. Yes, Aaliyah's birthday is in a few days. So happy birthday to Aaliyah. I won't be on live when your birthday comes around. So happy birthday to you, little sis. I hope you have a good day. I hope you enjoy your trip and all of that. When you come back, you can come on in the live or in the chat box and tell us all about it. On a Freestyle Wednesday, we'll talk and kiki until you can tell us all about it. Because I'm scared to go on a cruise ship. But I hear it's real fun, but I'm just scared because I get Titanic vibes when I go on the cruise ship. And I refuse to be in the bowels of the ship because I need to be able to get my big ass off. I can't swim, okay? So, and then I saw this video of him being in the middle of a damn storm in the middle of the ocean and the boat was just rocking, child. Oh my God, I almost had a heart attack. I said, I can't do this. I'm not gonna be able to do it. I can't. Anyway, he said he'll help you get there. That's a mess. Everybody sending happy birthdays to Aaliyah. Well, happy birthday to your mom, Hiram. I hope she had a good day. All right, sir. It's the week after next. Okay. When you come back, you can just come in there and tell us all about it. Okay, so we got a couple of matches for Smackdown. 4 of them were announced. 3 of them were not. So we're gonna do a little round robin because some of the stuff that was announced, some of the stuff that wasn't announced, I really wanted to get into because it was an interesting setup that they did for the United States Championship. So let's start there. The boys were in a fatal 4-way match. And the fatal 4-way is happening in 3 phases, okay? So the first phase was the fatal 4-way tonight, which is fatal 4-way number 1. That had AJ Styles, Santos Escobar, Butch, and Grayson Waller. Now, all 4 of these men were competing for one of the slots to compete for the number 1 contendership. Now, next week, it's going to be Cameron Grimes, Rey Mysterio, LA Knight, and Sheamus that compete in the second phase of the United States Championship Invitational. That second phase will be a fatal 4-way as well, and that person will be decided in that match, and then the person who wins will go up against the winner of tonight's match, which surprisingly was Santos Escobar. Now, for the most part, this match was pretty solid, but where it changed and the tide turned was toward the end. You see, Karrion Kross is not finished with AJ Styles, and he seems to be on a warpath with AJ Styles for whatever reason. He attacked the OC backstage and made the cameraman film him beating them down. Now, Mia Yim obviously was taken out by Scarlett before the cameras even started rolling. She was not seen from what I saw, but Carl Anderson was choked out by Karrion, and Gallows was already laid out, while Scarlett just sat there with the tool they used to beat everybody down on top of one of the roadie boxes, just admiring her and her husband's work. This made AJ Styles leave in the middle of the match, but he was caught by Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller basically took him out and was going to take advantage of the distraction, which he almost had. He laid out Butch and was able to almost get the pin, but Santos Escobar was able to come in and capitalize. So Santos advances in the United States Championship Invitational. But next week, you got 4 guys who are also competing to advance in the Invitational. Like I said, Sheamus, Rey Mysterio, LA Knight, Sheamus, Ellis, I can't remember the names. Who is the other guys? Sheamus, Rey Mysterio, and LA Knight. I just said it. Cameron Grimes. Jesus. I literally just said the man's name. I gotta eat more broccoli. My brain is fried. Anyway, it's Cameron Grimes. That's the guy. So we'll wait and see who's going to win that match, and whoever wins will then go up against Santos in a number 1 contenders match, and whoever wins that will be deemed the number 1 contender for Austin Theory's United States Championship, which of course I'm assuming is going to be contested at SummerSlam. All right. Now, like I said, we're doing a little round robin here. Now, the guys decided they wanted to get Pretty Deadly back for interfering in their business, and this was on Butch and Sheamus. Well, Ridge and Sheamus, since Butch had other business to handle today. Ridge and Sheamus had Pretty Deadly, but Pretty Deadly cheated once again by removing one of the turnbuckle covers, and that's how they were able to get Ridge Holland down. You see, they threw Ridge Holland into the turnbuckle, the exposed turnbuckle, and it threw him in where he injured his throat, where Solo pretty much, they claimed he bruised his trachea or whatever. I don't believe that, but if you believe it, more power to you. Anyways, this would gave Pretty Deadly enough time to be able to get the pin, and they won via that that turnbuckle exposure. So Pretty Deadly has been on pretty much a roll as of lately, costing Sheamus multiple opportunities at championships and always interfering in Brawling Brute's business. So we'll just have to wait and see how this is all going to play out. Now, Bianca kicked off the show, which I thought was a little odd, but I waited it out to see how it was going to play out. For the most part, she came out and basically she made her claim that she waited 2 months to get her opportunity. And now that she finally got it, she was not going to let it slip away. She was going to make sure that she walked out of Friday Night SmackDown as the the WWE Women's Champion, excuse me. And that's when Charlotte came out. And Charlotte made it clear that, you know what? You're right. I want you to win because I believe a moniker with my name on it and your name on it at SummerSlam, that's definitely going to be a bomb-ass time. So Bianca was like, all right, I'm with it. She was like, I ain't going to jinx myself, though, and just make it seem like I'm just going to win. She said, if I win, then it is going to be me and you at SummerSlam. Because Charlotte made it very clear, look, I'm just staking my claim and getting my place. I'm not trying to step on your toes or do nothing. I'm just trying to get my place because I'm putting myself in line and I'm giving you a heads up. The very same way that Bianca gave her a heads up, she's giving her the same courtesy, which fair is fair and right is right. Cool. The women shook hands and walked away. Well, later on in the night, we saw Charlotte getting ready to leave, and Bayley and Io were lingering around, and obviously they were going to be around to cause a little bit more discord when it comes to Asuka being champion and possibly Bianca winning the belt back. So of course Charlotte told Adam, look, I got what I wanted. Bianca agreed to having the match with me at SummerSlam, so I'm fine with that. I'm in content. She's content. I have no reason to be here. I'm leaving. So she tried to walk away. That's when she heard Bayley and Io interfering. So she decided on second thought that she was going to stay. Now, with everything that Adam knew, we're going strictly kayfabe. With everything that Adam knew and everything leading up to the main event, which was Asuka and Bianca, you would think that they would take extra precautions to protect this match, right? You already just saw what happened with Charlotte and Asuka at the last match for the championship. We all saw that. And then you leave this match with no discord. It's completely unattended and nobody's there to stop anything that's going to happen. It was unnecessary for you to show Adam speaking with Asuka and with the referee at the time. It just made it seem like he was prepping for it. And then it didn't. It completely fell apart at the end of the show. So there was no preparation for this match. Y'all pretty much let Charlotte do whatever she wanted to do, which in fairness, Charlotte was not trying to target Bianca. Charlotte was simply trying to protect the integrity of the match because she wanted her shot at Bianca. She's already beaten Asuka on multiple occasions, so there's nothing to prove against Asuka. But she has beaten Bianca, but Bianca also is one of the top girls, if not the top girl in the company right now. So Charlotte obviously wants to assert her dominance over Bianca. She's a bigger competitor than Asuka at this present moment. Not to say that Asuka's accomplishments don't mean anything or that Asuka hasn't done anything. We're talking about right now, and right now with the popularity of her and Bianca, Bianca's got a bit of an edge over her, okay? Now, in this match, at the end, Bianca and Asuka were going back and forth. It was a pretty decent match. Towards the end, Io Sky got involved and tried to cheat, as did Bayley, which I'm going to get to Bayley in a minute. Bayley and Io got involved and it caused a lot of discord. She took out Bayley, Charlotte did. And then Bianca was confused because she's like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you even here? And Io tried to take her out, to which Charlotte ducked. And then Charlotte tried to spear her, and she ended up spearing Bianca by accident. Io got in the ring, and they was getting ready to cash in, and they were getting ready to go ahead and let Io win. But Asuka was able to get up and spray Bayley in the face. She missed her. And that's how Asuka was able to scurry her ass away with the championship. Bianca standing up against the barricade, hurt, pissed off. And of course, Charlotte is standing there looking like she just ate ass on her face. And everybody's just laid out or crying because they got missed it. So now we at an impasse. You got two women who rightfully deserve another shot at that championship. Asuka keeps finding ways to wiggle out of wrestling either one of them. And now I bet you any amount of money, Wide Hipped Adam is going to announce next week that it's a triple threat for this WWE Women's Championship at SummerSlam. And I guarantee you that one of them is going to walk out champion, but it isn't going to be Asuka. Okay? Now, speaking of Bayley came out there today and still had locks of Shotzi's hair. Okay? Still had locks of Shotzi's hair. Just one whole lock of it. She had cut that girl's hair real bad. Okay? Let me see if I got the right picture. So she had a match against Zelina Vega today. They were wrestling, and at first everything was going pretty smooth. But then her and Io tried to cheat. The distraction was enough to get Zelina off her game, and she was able to pick up the win. To which, of course, Bayley and Io was celebrating and having a good old time. But as you can see back here, Shotzi had a little message for Bayley. Shotzi told Bayley straight up, she said, "You think you won because you cut my hair. You think you're in control because you cut my hair." And you can see right here, she got the girl's hair in her hand. She's been walking around with this child's hair, taking pictures with her hair on social media for quite some time. Couple weeks. Well, yeah, it's been a couple weeks. Because Shotzi hasn't been on TV in about a week or two. So Shotzi popped up on the screen. And Shotzi basically was like, "Bitch, I'm in control, and no matter what you do, you will never control me. You think that you know everything. You think you got it all figured out, but you don't know anything." And then that heifer did the most unhinged shit I have seen in a long time. That whole shaved her whole damn head and was cackling like a hyena, and Bayley's ass was standing there creeped out. But bitch, you created this woman. This is your fault. So whatever the fuck she do after this, it is all on you. I blame you two ignorant bitches. I blame you specifically, Bayley, and I blame you, Io. I blame y'all. Whatever she do, you hoes pushed her to it. Whatever she do, you pushed her to do it. Okay? Put that Brock on the charcuterie board. I've been eating fruits and charcuterie board meat for the last 3 days. And I've been living my best life. I love every minute of it. I don't know what it is, but child, that sopressata with them damn mozzarella cheese, that fresh mozzarella cheese, and them grapes and those apples, the fresh apples we had, Jared. They was delicioso. Okay, they was good. Why do I feel like Bayley's gonna pull a We're the Women's Champion with Io? Child, I hope not. With her petty ass. Child, I have finally collected all my things from this house. Very good. Get your ass out of there. She's out here making a lady want to turn into Cynthia from Rugrats. Should be ashamed of herself. Child. Bayley turn whatever she do, it's Bayley's fault. I promise you, it's Bayley's fault. Whatever she do. She said, "Yes, girl, charcuterie boards are everything." I bought a whole bunch of stuff to make me a charcuterie board with, which I did post on my food page, and I posted my empanadas place that's here in Cleveland, is Latin street food. I posted that up on my food place with food Instagram, which y'all can go look at if you want to. Any whoosies, child, po bagels. Po Bagels is terrified. Okay, she is scared that it did. Okay, he said that y'all don't snitch, but I'm still in a carton of aluminum foil. Boy, take everything. I take all they shit and leave them one cup, one plate, and one bowl. What they gonna do? They don't cook nothing, no way. They don't know how. They got 3 to spare, so I'm taking the unopened one. I take all of them, and then I would take the aluminum foil that's open, pull out all the aluminum foil, and leave one sheet in there. I do some petty shit. I take all the tissue and leave a roll in there that got 2 squares on it. I take all their cleaning products. I take everything out of their house. Everything out of there. Who am I supposed to tell for real? You better rob that place. Period, Hiram. Tell him. Tell him. Tell him, tell him, Powder. Tell him. He said, take everything. Take it all, honey. Anyways, if you're coming in a little late, let me make a real quick recap, okay? Now, Pretty Deadly went up against Ridge Holland and Sheamus, and Pretty Deadly was able to pick up the win with a little ring trickery. They had the ref distracted. They exposed the turnbuckle. They threw Ridge Holland into the turnbuckle throat first. That's how they was able to pick up the win. Bayley had a match against Zelina Vega today. Zelina Vega did pretty damn good against her, but in the end, Bayley was able to hit the rose plant with a slight distraction from EO and the ref. She hit the rose plant and was able to get the pin on Zelina Vega. Now, Bayley also had got a little visitor from an old friend of 2 weeks ago, where Shotzi made it very clear that she was not afraid and no longer being controlled by damage control. And she shaved her whole head while Bayley was walking around with her hair in her hands. This exact situation freaked Bayley and EO Sky out so much so that Bayley went on ahead and put that little green piece of hair away. She been trying to taunt this lady for the last couple of weeks, and I guess the roost, all them chickens is coming to roost. You feel me? With that being said, there was a fatal 4-way for the United States Invitational that is existing in 3 phases. You have the first fatal 4-way that happened tonight between Waller, Butch, Escobar, and Styles. At this current moment, the winner of that fatal 4-way is Santos Escobar. He is going to advance to the final round of this United States Championship Invitational. Next week, you're going to have a fatal 4-way between 4 more competitors. All right. Those 4 competitors are Cameron Grimes, Sheamus, LA Knight, and Rey Mysterio. They are all going to compete to go up against I can't even talk today. They are all going to compete to go up against Santos Escobar to determine who will be the number 1 contender for Austin Theory's United States Championship. Now, each one of those 4 men cut a promo. Ooh, they definitely are. A lot of people gonna have time off. I'm gonna get to that in a second. I'm on Twitter, y'all, so hold on a second. Anyways, they're gonna compete against each other to determine the number 1 contender for Austin Theory's United States Championship, which I would imagine would be happening at SummerSlam in Detroit. All right. So we gonna see, y'all. Now, like I said, all 4 competitors cut a promo tonight. Everybody cut a promo talking their shit about how they are so excited to finally get an opportunity at the United States Championship. But the best promo that was cut, obviously, came from LA Knight. Out of all 4 men in that next phase of this United States Invitational, he is the most over. And right now, next to Jey Uso and Roman Reigns and the rest of the top guys, he is one of the biggest talents in WWE. He is completely over. The fans cheer and scream his name. And despite him being a heel, he is unfazed by all the fame and love that he's getting from the fans, which makes it all the sweeter. LA Knight is at the top of the mountain, and I honestly wouldn't mind if he was United States champion. Whether he's heel or face, it doesn't matter. Take that title off of Austin Theory. He doesn't do it any good, and give it to LA Knight. He's going to make you want somebody else to be champion. Whether you love him or hate him, he's going to have people looking for that title. The same thing Walter did for the Intercontinental Championship is the same thing LA Knight could do for the United States Championship. Now, it's time to get to the good piece, the other good piece of SmackDown. It was Jey Uso. You see, last week, Jey Uso issued a challenge to his older cousin, Roman Reigns, the head of the table. He made it very clear that he was not happy that he took his brother out. And according to Michael Cole, Jimmy Uso suffered a couple of injuries in this battle between him and his brother. It was a pretty bad injury, ruptured ribs or something like that. He's going to be out indefinitely, which means Jimmy's taking a little bit of time off. So we might see Jim over there in Impact for a little bit, rooting on his wife, because WWE getting a little lax on the rules. So he might be able to go on over to Impact. I think they're going to be in Canada for their Slammiversary. He might be able to hobble on over there to Impact in disguise, and go see his wife become the Impact Knockouts World Champion. You never know, babes. You never know. But let's get into Jey Uso. But first, let me look at all of the comments and see what everybody's talking about. Kenny said, I take all their beers and dump them out, but put them back in the fridge. She's talking about Rico, y'all. I packed my computer, child, but I got Google Docs on my phone if we have time to talk about my book. We got time. Don't worry about it. We only 31 minutes in, babe. We got plenty of time. It's coming. My mom would probably love Rico because of the way he talked. The way you talk, my mother is infatuated with that. She would love that. One of these days, y'all gonna meet. She gonna love. She gonna be like, "Look at my son now." My mother's a trip. He said, "Take all the toilet paper." Period. Hello. Or just take the cords and leave the screen. Deviousness is up to you. Period. Yeah, do that. Yeah. I thought the Usos aren't allowed in Canada. It's in California, Aaliyah. I thought they was going to Canada for Slammiversary. My bagels. But I know that I'm taking every road. No, they're not. They're going to be in Canada. I know I'm not crazy. They're going to Windsor, Ontario, Canada. And they're probably in there right now. They're not going to be in Cali for Slammiversary. It is in Canada. Dry, give me my cord for my computer. Please.
Yeah, go on.
Not the Queen of Orange. It's in Canada. They're going to be in Ontario, Canada. You thought the Usos weren't allowed in Canada. Obviously, I think it's a certain amount of time that they can't. No, it says Canada. I think it's an amount of time that they couldn't go to Canada, but they've been to Canada since. They can go to Canada. They can go to Canada. I think it's the amount of time that you have once you have your DUI that you have to if it's not within, it can't be within the last year or so that you had a DUI. I believe. I could be wrong. Let me see. Canada DUI entry. Okay. So entering Canada with a DUI offense, it says Canada may or may not allow persons with DUI convictions to enter their country depending on the crime and how long ago it was committed, which is what I thought it was, and how you have behaved since the conviction. You may still be allowed to come to Canada if you convince Canadian immigration officer that you meet the legal terms to be deemed rehabilitated, applied for rehabilitation and were approved, or were granted a record suspension, or have a temporary resident permission. So they have done the rehabilitation stuff. So all they have to do is show proof that they did it. They've been to Canada since they were barred from going to Canada before. So yeah. I can't wait to meet the Queen of Orange. Yeah. Seeing Jay Uso whooping Solo, but mainly super kicking Paul in the face was so satisfying to watch. I wish he would have hit him with that chair. I feel like we a bad influence promoting all of this. I don't. I burn that motherfucker to the ground. Break all y'all cells.
Come on, Pookie.
Right. Oh dang, I thought they said Ontario, California. No, it's in Canada. I said if I'm not promising anything, Hiram. You gotta have plausible deniability. She said, "Oh my gosh, my stomach, my uterus is falling apart." Well, I ain't got there yet, but it's coming. It always do. Anyways, okay. All right, so Jey Uso was in the ring and he was talking about how close he was to his brother and how much it was something about being a twin that made him special and it made their relationship even more special. That's when Paul Heyman and his brother Solo came out there to essentially place the blame for his brother's demise squarely on the sole shoulders of the right-hand man and former heir to the tribal chief's throne, Jey Uso. Apparently, everything that happened to Jimmy was all Jay's fault. It couldn't have been that Roman was jealous of the fact that Jay and Jimmy were able to pin him at Night of Champions. At Money in the Bank. And it couldn't have been the fact that they were right about their about their cousin being a tyrant and just doing everything for his own personal gain and not considering the family as a whole. It couldn't have been that they were right about the way that they were being treated and how they were being disrespected and how he felt like they were nothing to him. And as long as they continued to operate under the guise of him, that they had to show perfection and consistently prove their dedication to him as the tribal chief. It couldn't have been that they were right. It had to be that he was the reason why Jimmy Uso met this terrible demise by his own cousin. Threats had been made against Jimmy for a long time. These threats were done to keep Jey Uso in line. In order to protect his brother, he maintained his status in the bloodline, which also maintained Jimmy in the bloodline. But once Jimmy defected, Jey Uso made a choice. And unfortunately for him, his choice cost him his brother. Now there's nothing holding him to Roman and the bloodline at all. So the very same thing that the tribal chief and his wise man were using to control Jey Uso and keep him down is the very same thing that's going to help them kill the entire bloodline itself and destroy Roman Reigns' hold over his younger brother, possibly. Now, next week, there's a rules of engagement that's going to happen. I'm not quite sure of what a rules of engagement means, but apparently next week, SmackDown is moving to FS1. So they got to have Roman on SmackDown next week for sure. So they gave him this week off, and next week he will rear his evil head on FS1 on SmackDown again, and him and Jey Uso are going to meet face to face in the ring, and they will have this rules of engagement. I'm not quite sure of what all that means or what it entails. But I will tell you what else happened tonight in terms of Jey Uso confronting Paul Heyman and his little brother. After their little reverse psychology blame game started, Jey Uso didn't say anything. He didn't do nothing but sock his little brother dead in his shit. They started fighting, going back and forth, and that's when he got the drop on Solo. And that's when the stalking of Paul Heyman began. You see, Paul Heyman is the evil in Roman Reigns' ear. He's what keeps him in this paranoid fear of losing everything state. Without Paul Heyman in his ear, Roman might be able to think clearly. But Paul Heyman feeds into his narcissism and his ego. So, with all that being said, it's like walking around with the devil on your shoulder at all times. Everybody knows that the devil does nothing but influence. You either listen or you don't. And in Roman's case, he goes beyond listening. He fully embodies what is being said to him on a consistent basis. And sometimes he does the most disgusting things. But he says he does it all in the name of his family and protecting the legacy of the tribal chief. Now, Pauline was in this ring, and it was very easy to take him out. But Solo was able to get the drop on Jey Uso again, and they ended up fighting. So, as they were fighting, and he got the drop on Solo, that's when Pauline decided to get involved and grabbed the chair and was throwing it in there, thinking that Solo was definitely going to be able to take Jey Uso down. But he didn't. As he was throwing that chair in there, Jey Uso saw it. He grabbed it and hit his brother in the back with it after he hit him in the stomach. And then again, the stalking began. You see, before that, Paul Heyman got super kicked in that double chin of his. And while he was laying on his back like a beached whale, just beached, honey, trying to roll his thick ass over, it was a sight to see, child. He narrowly missed the opportunity to get hit by that chair. As he was walking up the ramp, he wants to fake cry talking about he hit me. Well, yeah. Yeah, Pauline, he hit you. And if it wasn't for Solo, you would have got your ass whooped with that chair, which we all would have loved to have seen. I love me a little contact, Petey. Okay? Now, the boys is out there fighting. Not you always syncing up with your name. The boys was out there fighting, but next week we supposed to have some interesting battles. The girls are probably going to be wondering how this is all going to play out, and more than likely Charlotte Flair will probably kick off the show next Friday. And then you'll probably have Bianca come out and Asuka come out as well. All three women should be put into a triple threat to go into SummerSlam. We have 2 more weeks next week. Next Monday, it'll be 2 weeks. We'll be 2 weeks out from, well, actually, we'll be 3 weeks out from SummerSlam next Monday because it's still a full week before we get to SummerSlam. So next week on the 17th, we'll be 3 weeks out from SummerSlam. That's enough time for you to start giving the girls their opportunity to build this feud between the three of them and work towards SummerSlam being a triple threat. Now, for Jey Uso and for Roman Reigns, they've already compiled as much as they can onto their feud. And next week, they're just going to keep the ball rolling. I don't know what this rules of engagement shit is going to entail, but I do know that it's going to be interesting. And more than likely, Roman will be the one who comes out on top next week because Jey Uso's been on quite the roll. There's been 2 weeks of Jey Uso and his brother having the best of Roman Reigns. And I can't say that next week it's going to be the same thing. Roman's probably going to get the drop on Jey Uso. And it's going to be a brutal time for him. Also, something else happened today that was interesting. And I'm sure a lot of people... okay, I'm finna tell y'all. So earlier today, there was a little meeting between Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. Now, the Street Profits haven't been seen on TV since they had that little gauntlet match with the tag teams to determine the number one contenders for the tag team titles, which ended up being pretty deadly. But Bobby Lashley hasn't been on TV since they had that setup for them to be able to choose the number one contender for that championship belt that Seth Rollins has. My mind is telling me that there's a Hurt Business 2.0 on the horizon and the Street Profits are going to be in it. I don't like Bobby Lashley. I never have and I never will. But for the sake of my babies, for the sake of my Street Profits, if this is the case, I will respect the team and I will give them their props. But I can't fucking stand that milk dud, white bread. I don't like Bobby Lashley. So I'm not a fan of it, but I respect it and I understand it. If that is what's happening here, then so be it. Walter is losing at SummerSlam. I'm going to say he's not. Let me see. Walters. I'm older than Walter. He's 35.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I thought he was old.
Nope. He's not. He just look old.
He's only 35.
Right.
So Gunther's been champion for 397 days. By SummerSlam, it's 3 weeks and let me see. 3 weeks and a day. So 1, 2. Let me count. I gotta do math. Don't y'all say nothing. Trapo. I gotta do math. 397 days plus. That'll put him at 440 days. Okay. After SummerSlam, well, to SummerSlam, that'll put him at 440 days.
Yeah.
So the Honky Tonk Man was at 454 days. I do not believe that they're going to make Gunther drop that championship 14 days, 2 weeks shy of beating the Honky Tonk Man's record as champion. I don't think they're going to do that. I think Triple H is forcing people to break those records.
Yeah.
And
the modern era.
right, and that's why Roman kept his championship for so long. And I think they're going to have Gunther do the same thing. If they do make him drop it, be right like 2 weeks shy, at that rate, they might as well have had him drop it at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, keep it.
I think it's going to keep it past SummerSlam, and then at Payback, he's going to drop it. That's when he's going to drop it. Because Payback is a month out from SummerSlam. It's on the 2nd of September.
Well over the record.
Correct. So I'm gonna disagree with you on that one, Kenny. I'm gonna say Gunther's gonna drop it at Payback, not at SummerSlam. She said, "Don't ask me how I forgot his name is Gunther now." Girl, please. Walter and Gunther are interchangeable for that man. All right. So, ooh, okay, girl. She said, I don't know. I smell a gift card to Bucks with my name on it. Oh, you're going to lose this one for sure. You're going to lose this one for sure. Didn't we bet the last one? Didn't I win? No, she won. Wait a minute. Which one did we bet? We didn't bet on the last one.
No, it's been a while since y'all done it, but the last bet y'all had, Kenny was right.
We didn't bet, though. We didn't bet no money on it. But I swear we did. I swear we bet one, and I was right, and Kenny was wrong. Kenny was right about Night of Champions, but we didn't bet on that. We bet on Money in the Bank, and it was a gift card that was supposed to be distributed. Wait. Yes, ma'am. It wasn't a bet, but I got that one. Seth lost. No, Kenny. Oh, I keep touching the mouse. That's what keep bringing it up. No, we bet on Money in the Bank. But Seth won at Money in the Bank. He didn't lose. This current Money in the Bank. I know we did, Don. I can't remember what we bet on. And I don't feel like going back through 2 hours of shit to figure it out. But we bet on something. It had to be Money in the Bank that we bet on. And it was a match that Kenny was adamant somebody was gonna lose. And I can't remember. Because we didn't put no limit on the card. We just said one gotta buy a Starbucks. I gotta buy a Starbucks card for her. And if I won, she had to buy the Starbucks card for me. But I don't remember what we bet on. Because Oscar and them wasn't at Money in the Bank. So we didn't bet on the women's championship. You think it was Gunther? Hold on a second. She don't remember. I don't remember either. I think it was involving Gunther and his reign come the next PLE. I know we just bet for SummerSlam. That I do know. Right. Because we lazy, Don. Because we lazy. But the previous bet, I forgot. I don't remember. I genuinely don't. He said, but why ain't nobody screenshot this? Baby, I don't know. We did bet on Gunther. We supposed to be waiting for Gunther at SummerSlam. She thinks he's going to drop it, and I don't. I don't think he's going to drop it at SummerSlam. But I don't remember. I thought we bet for Money in the Bank on something. He said, the next time y'all bet on something, call on me to screenshot. A previous pay-per-view, though, I can't tell you what PLE it was for. It had to be for Money in the Bank. Because that was the last pay-per-view we watched besides NXT's. Was it NXT? Because I ain't bet on nothing in NXT. I don't never bet against Kenny for nothing on NXT. Because I knew that fucking Tiffany was going to beat Thea Hale. So that wasn't it. Yeah, it was Money in the Bank, but I don't remember what match it was. Y'all know I will always remember. Between you and Kayla, y'all got steel trap minds. If I'm remembering correctly, it was between Seth and Cody. What? I called both of Seth and Cody's match. The women wrestling fans are quiet this week. Well, tonight, that's because the girls had a substantial period today. That's why the girls opened up the show. They had a women's match in the middle of the show. And then at the end, the women closed out the show. So they ain't had nothing to talk about, baby. And is that a bad thing? No. If it was a bad thing, I would say that. I basically said that you and Rico have steel trap minds. You remember everything. I'm not accusing you of having a bad thing. I'm not making it bad. The women had time. Well, Triple H owed them that time if we're being fair. Because last week was some bullshit. Whatever PLE came after the Mania, Cody came back and Seth lost at that one. What? Oh, Kenny, I know what you're talking about. That one we didn't bet on. We didn't put no monetary bet on that one. But we did bet on that one. I think that was it Backlash? Did Seth wrestle at Backlash? I Ooh. Hold on, let me go check. Okay. She said, "Don't you got a paper to color in the lines, child?" Lord have mercy. Okay. No. Okay, because if it was Backlash, I called Seth's match and so did you. So it wasn't Seth's match. And I called Cody beating Brock Lesnar in that match. That was it. That match with the Bloodline was 22 minutes. Oh my God. That fucking sucks. Okay, hold on. I feel like last week was a setup for this week. Why they up here crying? Why they up here crying? Don said, "Shut the fuck up."
You got it.
Right. Now that's a good question. Why ain't nobody got proof of this? Child, she said, "Hiram, don't you got like a page to go color in the line?" Now Kitty knows she ain't shit. See, Kitty, that's messed up. This year's Backlash, and if so, yes. Cody beat Seth on like a roll up or so shit. That wasn't on Backlash. That was last year. That wasn't the bet I was talking about. But if that's the one you're referring to, Kenny, then yes, you did win that bet. We gonna hurt ourselves trying to get to remember. Either way, if you win this SummerSlam bet, I'll send you a $50 gift card to Duncan. Period. Yeah, the interest and ambiance of the match is 10 minutes alone. Jesus Christ. That's ridiculous. Now, Rhea Ripley's match with Zelina Vega was 7 minutes and 10 seconds. The shortest match was Austin Theory's match. It was 6 minutes and 50 seconds. That's crazy to me. That is insane. At Backlash, he went up against Omos, remember? Yeah, it was it was pretty interesting. And it wasn't even a bad match if we being honest. It was not that bad. It was actually pretty fucking decent, but yeah. He went up against Omos. And that was the best Omos had ever been showcased, in my opinion, in his entire career. 22 minutes, damn, the entire entrance. I went to the store up the street and back, and the bell rang for the match to start when I got back in my room. Oh, she said, yeah, Omos. It was Omos. It was Omos. Okay, yeah, y'all ain't bet on that. Absolutely not. We didn't. But we did set a bet for Gunther for SummerSlam, and I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. If Kenny wins, she ain't gonna never let me live it down, so I better fucking win. Anyways, that's SmackDown, y'all. Okay. There was a lot going on, but then it was pretty straightforward. We got the idea of everything that we needed to do that they're going to be doing for the next couple of weeks. So they're going to have a lot of people tangled up in this United States Championship Invitational, which I like. That cuts out some time frame to build stuff. There's going to be a feud between AJ Styles and Karrion. For whatever reason, they're still continuing that. And then they have the situation with Bianca, Asuka, and Charlotte. You got Io and Bailey on the outside looking in. You also still have Shotzi looming. She done lost her goddamn mind after she done shaved her head. But outside of kayfabe, her sister has cancer, so she's doing it, you know, out of respect for her, which I'm happy for Shotzi that she's showing love to her sister. And I hope her sister pulls through because fuck cancer. Okay. Any whoosies. Where's Rico? They didn't main event, but they did see at the show.
Sitting out here like a goddamn stepchild.
Now, Don, if you didn't get to watch SmackDown, or if you missed a little bit of the show, the Street Profits
I
and
ain't seen it.
Lashley, honey, the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley are having a little kiki meeting. And I feel like they're gonna put these men together. And I'm gonna
I
have to
would
root for
not.
Bobby Lashley.
You wouldn't be rude because they about to go heel, but I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be mad at it.
I love the Street Profits, so I don't mind them going heel. Quite frankly, I would welcome it because they need a change. But I don't fucking like Bobby Lashley. I don't like him. So
So it shouldn't be hard.
I don't fucking like him. I
You might
don't.
get some character about this shit. Hey,
What?
Okay.
All he gonna get is residual from Montez. He ain't gonna get
that's
shit.
fine. He needs something because
He just
whatever's
a
going
white
on, it ain't
bread.
working.
Ugh. He just soggy white bread. He useless.
He's
No, he's
soggy wide
useless.
bread.
He is useless. I don't know why my brother bought this cake mix box. Cause who's baking? Your ass gonna end up doing it. You gonna end up doing it. She was excited to see who came out that limo, and she was like, "Oh, never mind. I damn sure was, because that was not the tea. That was not the business. Absolutely the fuck not." I
I
was like,
thought
"Who
he was
is
on
this?"
Raw though. I guess.
I was like, "Who is this?" I'm like, "Oh God, fucking bald headed Bobby Lashley." Oh, any whoosies. Before we get started with Rico, we got one more thing to do. We gotta go over Slammiversary.
So we
I
can
didn't even
have
get to watch Impact last night, so I was very upset. But it is tomorrow. Slammiversary is tomorrow. It's a premium live event, so you want to watch it, you're gonna pay $40. No matter where you watch it, you have to pay $40.
I can live stream it.
Even even if you watch
bootlegging.
it on
Like,
YouTube and you're a member, you still have to pay $40 to
they
watch it.
gonna get their money. They said y'all want to see this
Okay?
shit.
They're
Y'all
not
gonna
playing.
pay.
They're not playing. So they got a couple of matches on the card, and if you enjoy Impact, which I do, I think Impact is fun. Um,
Oh, ooh.
what are you doing? What's the dog doing? The dog just
He ain't
ugh.
gnawing on the damn bone.
Oh. All right. So the Ultimate X match is happening at Slammiversary, and they have 5 competitors in that match. If you've never seen an Ultimate X match, I would highly recommend you go to YouTube and Google and type in Ultimate X match and see how that match works out because it's pretty fucking wild with the Ultimate X
Bitches
match.
go crazy.
And you've got Mike Bailey, Jonathan Gresham, Kushida, Kevin Knight and you have Angels. Kevin Knight is the fine black man right here.
Okay,
So you got
I
these five
see.
guys.
Why is the mouth so fucking wide?
I don't. Well, don't worry about that. You'll figure out something to do with it. Anyway, um,
Nah, baby, that's too wide.
I just want to know, where did John Gresham's neck go?
I don't know. It doesn't matter because all his body, the upper body is all smashed up, and then he got real long legs. So he got a real short torso, no neck, and them scrawny and them big ass arms, and then he just got real long, skinny legs. So
And
if
what
It's
is his
like
personality?
it's like
if
Build a
dress
Bear,
like
but like with all the wrong pieces.
I don't care. It's his business. He come out there with the
Build a
fake
nigga.
octopus on his face and on his clothes. So you know. Whatever. Anyways, these five will be competing in the Ultimate X match. I'm be honest, I'm not invested enough in this match to care. But if I had to have my pick, I would probably pick Kevin Knight or Kushida to probably win this match. I don't want to see Jonathan Gresham win nothing because he bores me.
All he gonna do
But
is cry when he lose.
sir,
But
so
I
it is
watch.
what it is. Hopefully we'll they'll have a good winner. Angels would be a good winner for this match. He just defected from the design. So he would be somebody that would be a fan favorite going into this match. But it's probably either gonna go to Angels, Kevin Knight, or Mike Bailey. One of them is gonna win this match. Then you've got the tag. Well, these six are competing because Savannah Evans, Giselle Shaw, and that little weak bitch they be carrying around with them are, for whatever reason, going after the Death Dolls, and Jody Threat has joined into that. They ain't got nothing else to do with Trinity and Deanna Perrazzo because they got their own thing going. So they have been moved off of that onto these three women. So that match is set for Impact Slammiversary as well. I'm gonna say that the Death Dolls and Jody Threat are gonna beat Giselle Shaw Evans and that little bitch they be having with them. You got the Knockouts World Tag Team Championships being contested by Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly. The Coven have been walking around with these championships for a while, and ever since I've been watching Impact, they ain't really been doing nothing with them. If we're being honest, to be real, they could have gave those titles to Shaw and Savannah Evans if they wanted to do something with them, because they're the dominant heel faction as of right now. The Coven ain't doing shit. They haven't been doing nothing for almost 2 months. And right now, it's not worth it to keep the titles on them. You can give it to Masha and Killer Kelly. They're gonna do something with them. But right now, they need to get them titles off of them. So I'm gonna put my money on Slamovich and Killer Kelly, and they can go ahead and run off with them titles. She got the little dog chain collar around the child neck. It was real sexual the last time.
Real homosexual.
Yeah, it was real sexual out there, and I said, "Ooh, that's a little mm. Okay, girl. Y'all can get hot and heavy in the back. We don't want to be in the middle of y'all mess. Now, some of y'all might like that. Y'all might like to watch, but I don't want to.
Right. Alexis and Nicole are loving it.
I'm sure
Probably
the
Danae if
digital
she was watching.
stop. The Digital Media Championship is being contested. So Joe Hendry is a fan favorite, and I love Joe Hendry. I think he's hilarious. Okay. The songs he comes up with are fucking fantastic. Kenny King's thing is between the years of 2013 and 2015, he decided to go off and be a stripper. So Joe Hendry told everybody his business, and now everybody's coming up to him putting dollars in his pants and trying to get a dance from him, which I don't know why, because I just don't feel like Kenny King got no rhythm. Anyway,
You don't think
Joe
the
Hendry,
emotion of it?
I just feel like he ain't got no rhythm. But live your best life. Joe Hendry is the digital media champion, and he is going to be defending his title against Kenny King. I'm going to say Joe Hendry is going to keep it. I don't think he's going to drop that championship to Kenny King. I think he would be more inclined to drop that championship to somebody like Zachary Wentz, who just came back, or if Leo Rush doesn't beat in his match, he might drop it to Leo Rush. That might happen, but Yeah, I don't. Not a stripper. I don't think Kenny King is going to be champion at any point. He a bit too hard in the face for me. Go shake your tail feather in some other bitch face.
Not the tail feather.
Kenny said he too hard in the face. What you saying? He
I
a
believe
bulldog?
it.
He a bulldog in the face, Kenny?
Some people just have too many angles.
Child.
Cheekbones
Now,
be too hard, jawline be too hard.
well, that ain't Kenny King. He don't really have much of a shape like that. He ain't chiseled. Let's put it that way.
Then I have the
Anyways,
squidward.
mm-mm, not even close.
Strong feet
Frankie
face.
Kazarian and Eddie Edwards will be facing off along with their wives. Now Alicia, as they say she say it. I don't know why, but it say Alicia, so whatever. That A bitch, that's his wife. She always getting involved in Eddie Edwards matches. And the last time him and Kazarian had a match, she's the reason why Kazarian lost. So to calm that storm, his wife is coming back to Impact and she's gonna, help keep Alicia's ass off of the apron and out of the ring. The last time that they got in the ring with Frankie Kazarian, he was beaten down and they tried to hit him with a kendo stick, which I believe that they did beat him up with the kendo stick, and they stood there making out in the middle of the ring, which I've always hated. I don't want to watch white people kissing in the middle of the ring. That may sound racist. I don't give a damn. I just don't want to see that. That's not something that I'm interested in looking at. Okay. But Frankie Kazarian's wife, Tracy Brooks, is going to come back to Impact to take care of that little bat mite gnat, Alicia Edwards. So hopefully they'll cancel each other out and Frankie and Eddie can have a real match with each other where nobody's interfering and we'll get to see who the better man is that way. Um,
This
this is a big
gentrified
match.
Alicia.
Huh?
She gentrified Alicia.
Maybe she said her name is Alicia. That's what they was telling me last week when I called her Alicia. They say she got a little bit of lish on the Alicia part. So instead of Alicia, it's Lisha. I
Yeah, they
said,
said
okay.
let's sit.
I said, okay, babe.
Yanni, she's the one who her gear is them sweatpants with the cutouts in the back by the ears.
Not by the ear.
They are by the ears.
You got that dog in him. Oh, please. The Impact World Tag Team Championships are also being contested, and this time it's in a fatal four-way. Subculture, Rich Swann and Sammy Callahan, and Moose and Brian Myers are all vying for the opportunity to steal those championships from ABC. ABC have been champions for quite some time. They're Bullet Club members, and ABC consists of Ace Austin and Chris Bay. So we'll have to wait and see how that's gonna go. But me personally, I think ABC is gonna retain those championships, and then they will fight probably at Emergence against Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel, the Rascals. Anywhoosies, moving on. All right. So the X Division Championship is also being contested. Chris Sabin is going up against Leo Rush. Now, Leo Rush literally got there almost 2 weeks ago. He had one match to which he won. That next week, he challenged Sabin to a match. Sabin accepted. He had another match, tag team match with Aldis that week. He won with Aldis and pinned Chris Sabin. And then they now have they got something going this Thursday that I didn't get to see, and they're now leading into Slammiversary this Saturday with this championship on the line. Do I think that Chris Sabin is going to lose this championship to Rush? No, I don't. I hope not. Um, I'm going to be honest. I'm just not the biggest fan of Leo Rush right now. It really doesn't have anything to do with his personal shit because I tend to separate church and state when it comes to that kind of stuff, unless it's something that's just too egregious to separate. In his case, he bores me because I feel like all that I get from him is a lot of backflips, twists, and running in the ring. And then when it really comes down to wrestle, it's bare minimum from him at that point. So maybe it's just me and I'm just not feeling it, but like I've seen others who are like him or have similar styles like him. Will Ospreay, Zack Sabre Jr., and then you have Ricochet, and they have the same acrobatic capabilities as Leo Rush, but they're interesting to watch in the ring. Whereas Leo is just all speed and there's no brawn wrestling or any of that. And it's like watching Speedy and Gonzalez and Bugs Bunny in the ring together. You get a little taunting, and then there's a lot of running. And it's just like, okay, I'm bored. So hopefully this match will be worth it with Saban being in there. But I'm going to give the win to Chris Sabin for him to retain his championship. Then we got this storyline match between Scott D'Amore, his mystery partner. They have a special enforcer in this match. His name is Darren McCarty. For whatever reason, Steve Macklin is not in this match, and Bully Ray is. So I didn't get to watch Thursday's Impact so I can find out what's going on, but they've switched this match so much. The original match was Steve Macklin and Bully Ray versus Scott D'Amore and PCO. But Bully Ray and Steve Macklin poured battery acid down PCO's throat, and then they set his ass on fire. So, yeah, PCO dead. Okay? Okay. As long as we all hearts and minds are clear, that man is dead for now. So I don't know where Diener came from. I'm not quite sure of why he ended up replacing Steve Macklin. If anybody knows, you can always tell me, but I have no clue. Either way, Scott D'Amore did allude to getting a partner of some kind on Impact this past Thursday. And I'm assuming that he's Canadian of some kind. Alexis thinks she knows who it's going to be, but I don't know who it's going to be. And that's going to be the big reveal and surprise at Slammiversary. We got 2 more matches, and then Rico can get into his book. So for the men, the final match of the night is going to be the Impact World Championship. Alex Shelley is the other half of the Motor City Machine Guns. And right now, he's working as a singles competitor and the Impact World Champion. He's going to be competing against Nick Aldis. In the beginning, Nick Aldis and Alex Shelley had a respect and understanding for each other. But along the way, Alex Shelley got in Nick Aldis's way. And unfortunately for Alex, he became a target that Nick Aldis had to eradicate in order to be champion. So when they had that 10-man match, 10-man mixed tag match, he attacked Alex Shelley with the belt after the match was over, and that's how this feud between Shelley and Nick Aldis began. Do I think Shelley is going to retain his championship? I'm going to say yes, I do. I don't think he's going to drop it until the next pay-per-view, which more than likely will be Emergence. Bound for Glory is after that. So I think Alex Shelley's going to keep the title just maybe one more month or two, and then he'll end up dropping it to Nick Aldis. I hope. So the final bout at Slammiversary is going to be the Knockouts World Championship. It's going to be a title defense. You got Trinity going up against Deonna Purrazzo. So Trinity made her debut, and she's been on quite the road since she showed up in Impact. But Deonna Purrazzo was on her, 3rd or 2nd title reign as the Impact Knockout World Champion. And of course, we love Deonna. We're glad that Deonna's been able to put herself up on the pedestal and to do great things. But Deonna Purrazzo is boring me right now. So I think she needs a change in course in terms of her direction and her character work and all of that. She just is just boring to me. However, I know what Deonna is capable of, and I know that she is a great champion, and I know she's an excellent wrestler. But I don't mind Trinity being able to take this championship off of her. Do I think that that's going to happen at Slammiversary? I want to say yes and trust that Impact will pull the trigger, because I don't think Deonna was supposed to get the championship back in the first place. I think that Mickey was supposed to keep it, and this was supposed to be between Mickey and Trinity in the first place. That was my thought process. But it is what it is for right now. Deonna Purrazzo is champion. I'm going to go with my heart and my gut and say that Trinity is going to become champion at Slammiversary. If it doesn't happen at Slammiversary, she probably will end up getting it at Bound for Glory or at Emergence. But I can't see Big Impact keeping that feud between the two of them going that long. So I'm gonna say if she doesn't get it now, it'll be at Emergence. But there's also one more match that may happen at Slammiversary. Fandango, or Dirty Dango, as he calls himself in Impact, has been attacking Santino Morella for weeks now, verbally assaulting him and saying weird, creepy shit about his kid. So Santino says the gloves are off and he's going to take out Dirty Dango himself. I'm not sure if this happened at Impact already or if they planned on having it happen at Slammiversary, but I do know that they're supposed to fight each other at some point. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how that plays out as well. So everything is set for Slammiversary tomorrow. Hopefully they have a really good show. They're going to be in Ontario, Windsor, Canada for Slammiversary, and for the Slammiversary Fallout, they will be in Canada as well. And then they're going to move on to their regularly scheduled programming. But hopefully Saturday, once the results come out for, she said, Bully need to slit the hell down. Facts, I feel you. Hopefully, once the results come out for Slammiversary, I'll go live really quickly Saturday and I'll give you guys the results of the show. All right. So Rico has a book. All right. And he's been writing it for quite some time. I read the first 2 chapters and I read a bit of his synopsis of the book. But it's really interesting and I really, really like it. Okay. And if you don't want to hear about the book, it's fine. You can click your ass out and go home. Just make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe. Okay. Make sure you give me a nice little thumbs up on this video and make sure you share it. If you're done for the night, we don't have any more wrestling to talk about because I can't talk about wrestling forever. Okay. Okay. So we're going to talk about Rico's book and he's going to explain it. And if y'all don't want to listen, it's fine. Go home. Okay? I'll see y'all next time.
Right?
Where are you, sir? Are you in the car? Okay. Okay,
Are you
that's where the
out?
snapping comes from.
No, I'm coming home from work.
Okay. Well, we didn't know. All we heard was just this flapping in the phone. It's like
No, he asked me was I outside. I'm not outside.
you're gone with the wind. What the hell?
Fabulous.
You need to go to Shady Pines, child. It's a good book. It is a good book. It's a very good book. So go ahead, Rico. It's on you. So what you gonna do?
When they come for you. Anyway, so in this book I'm writing, the official title I finally decided is gonna be Where the Dead Still Walk. I'm making it the official one. Um, Not gonna lie, it's had some pretty shitty titles. I will admit that, just because it needed to have some. Hold on a minute.
I remember.
Alright, sorry about that. But yeah, so it is this zombie apocalypse story that is purposely set 9 years after the initial outbreak, just because I don't like how when when you get to like the zombie apocalypse stories and they like fast forward and like or they don't fast forward and you kind of like cover the world falling apart. That's boring. I don't like that. Just because I don't like people living in squalor. I needed to like have some type of like advancement to society so they weren't all just like struggling and surviving. Um, yeah, let's get into it. Let me go ahead and pull up the synopsis for it that is spoiler free. Hold on. Okay. Let me read this out loud to y'all and let me know what y'all think. There we go. All
Hate it
right.
already.
So, ready? post-apocalyptic world, those who survived the first few years are finding ways to flourish in spite of the state of despair. A total of 8 different survivors colonies have sprung up in the U.S. within the last 6 years. Palmetto Tower, located in the southeast, the Citadel up by the Canadian border, the Lion's Den in what's left of the Midwest, the Orange alongside the West Coast, Isla del Sol in the Southwest, Silver Meadows in the ruins of Seattle, and lastly the Borough and the Nest among the East Coast. For those invested in their own survival, it's in their best interest to join one of these colonies. Only the foolish still opting to make it on their own. Warren Soto, one of the characters our story covers, is one of those foolish souls who's been at it on his own. After being dishonorably discharged from the Marines, the outbreak served as a saving grace for him, a convenient escape from facing the harsh realities and ramifications of his actions. He spent the last 9 years fending for himself. Where is the... Oh, hold on. Hold on. It cut off on me. Let me get it back up. There we go. Oh, yeah. So he spent the last 9 years fending for himself, avoiding other survivors in fear of unearthing his past. Warren made up his mind years ago. He's better off detached from everyone else. So that's the synopsis. How am I doing so far? Master the audio.
You kind of sound like you don't know about your book.
Oh,
Huh?
Don, please.
He do. There's just a lot of pausing and ums and
He was
read it like you
reading
know what
it.
you're talking about. He shouldn't have to read it though. That's what he said.
Why shouldn't he have to read it, babe?
He's writing it.
I don't remember every detail that I'm writing. I have it written down for a reason.
That's crazy.
What?
It's a lot of layers to it.
Rico, Don, you're gonna have to get him a little bit on that. That's
But
a
it's
lot
like,
to remember.
but it's you could summarize it up to this point.
That was the synopsis.
I didn't say synopsis.
He's
A
such
quick
a
little
dick
summary.
sometimes.
Quick little summary to run over it, and that'd have been fine. But it sounds decent.
Mm-hmm.
Make a
It's
short.
a lot of basic. You don't read. So
That's why I said make a short film.
and haters aside,
It's right there on top.
Anybody hate me?
high haters, 5 haters. Anyway,
Just put it right there. You didn't have to grab that one.
Don't let him talk
You
to
got
y'all
the
like
one
that.
right there on top.
I thought you said pomegranate. That's why I grabbed that one.
No. Everybody say nothing in the comments, babe. I'm waiting.
I know I'm seeing no one saying nothing. But anyway, now that we've gotten over the synopsis, that's the synopsis. Now, let's get into, because again, with any zombie apocalypse, there has to be the virus. You know, and I didn't finalize the virus fully until like a few days ago, just because, to be honest, I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. Just again, zombies are not my thing. I will preface that now. Zombies are not my thing. They're not my favorite genre. However, I wanted to pick this story to get back into writing because I don't care about it as much as I do, and since I'm not too invested into it, I can kind of write it and get it out there, and I won't be so hard pressed to like make it perfect, which is where we're at right now. So when it came down to writing the virus, I was kind of like, well, I don't really have to make it too in depth, which is also why I kept the origin of it kind of vague, because if we get into like the whole what caused it, how did it come about, you start kind of focusing too much on that, and it kind of detracts from the story I wanted to tell. So that's why there are certain gaps in there that I kind of left there on purpose, because it's not the focal point. But the virus is known as the waste. It took me way too long to come up with that. It took me like 5 days.
Why do you always have to find a way to beat yourself up when you tell this? Just
there's
tell them
another
you came up with them. No, you're just gonna say the virus is the waste. They don't need to know it took you too long to come up with it, and you don't need to beat yourself up about it.
Well, I will
Hmm.
take that into consideration.
No, you need to do it. Put it in practice.
Literally.
All right. Well, I have the full description of the waste also written down as well because it is also a lot. So let me go ahead and
Well,
read that.
in Don's defense, you can summarize that.
1 to 2 cents. How many cents you got on the waist?
So,
Four.
like, basically, all you need to do,
Shrink it down. All you need is 1 to 2, and you know that.
babe, they can read about it in the book. So, all you're gonna do is give them the basics. They call it the ways.
Your your synopsis
They
is
are
be like
they.
the
You
back
can
of the
tell them
book.
how if you want to. You can tell them how they transform, but you don't. We don't need to know how they contracted. We don't need to know all the stages of it. Just tell them they call it the ways, and it's a zombie. But I have my zombies are different, and if you read the book, you'll know about it.
Hell, you don't even have to explain if you don't want to.
That's
This
what I'm
is the
saying.
waist.
That's what Don is saying. But
I've read a book called The Road. I told you about The Road. It's a post-apocalyptic world. They never explain to you how the world got that way.
well, Rigo
Now,
did.
I hated
Sort
The
of.
Road. I read that book in middle school and it was so fucking boring.
Never heard of it.
It
That's
was
because
just
you don't read books, babe.
He said in school. I read my books in school, y'all.
I
You
didn't
didn't
even
read
read
the
it.
road because you didn't have to.
I Yeah, I
No, I
wasn't
didn't.
required to either. I wasn't required. I just read it at my own leisure.
Yeah,
And
no.
Yeah,
it was
that's
boring.
why I said Don wasn't reading that. That was not on the accelerated readers list.
It sure
Yeah.
wasn't, but Dora the Explorer was.
Thank you.
And I got an A that day, boy.
Dora.
Dora was found that
Dora,
car
Dora,
behind the
Dora,
tree. Yes,
the
she did.
Explorer. The boy on the boat pissed himself. What?
What boy on the boat?
Kitty, what is you
Okay.
talking about?
She probably talking about The Walking Dead.
But
Oh,
she finished it already.
the title is not
Oh
bad.
wait.
Aaliyah said your title's not bad. Kayla said she
Thank
liked the synopsis of the book. She said that's pretty good. She said, what book did he say? The Road.
you.
The
Don't read
Road.
it. It's
Shut
like
up, Rico.
100,000 pages of them just walking places. It is so boring.
Everybody,
Go ahead.
everybody,
Go ahead.
everybody's definition of entertaining books is different. Gerard prefers to have books that have a little bit more depth to them. I like shit that's messy, okay? I like reading shit about bitches getting fucked and fighting and stealing money and being high-end thieves. I like shit like that. I don't wanna read shit where you a hobbit and you gotta take the damn ring to Middle Earth. I don't want to read that because it takes too long for you to get there. I'm sick of that. I don't want that. I want to read some shit where you and your cousin and you married and got a husband and your cousin living in your house and she fucked your man and she got a baby by your man and then she leave and don't tell you that that's his baby and his son show up at y'all doorstep. Child,
That was
them the kind of
highly
books
specific.
I like reading. I like reading some mess. It make me feel good about myself.
Really, The Walk, despite being set in a zombie apocalypse realm, has a lot of mess to it, which I'm very excited to write about. Just because it's fun. It's fun to just write some messy shit. Like, you're just like, ooh,
Crime and
the
Punishment
girl
was
is
on
gonna
my
eat
read
this shit up.
list. I didn't finish it. I was bordering on unaliving myself at the time. Girl, that's a
Oh,
lot.
okay.
This went left real
Um,
quick. Jesus.
time and place. Not the
You might
time
want
nor
to
the
go get
place.
some help for that, Aaliyah, because that was dark. That took a real dark turn, babe.
Yeah, not the time nor the place. You feeling all
I ain't
right?
trying to say you can't have your moment because I understand and I feel bad that you felt that way, but because I can't tell if you joking or not. So I'm gonna take it seriously. Um Yeah, I need you to go get some help for that.
Yeah, get some help with that, but just next time, just wait till the conversation shifts a little bit.
Yeah, because that's a wet blanket.
Yeah.
Crime and
What
Punishment
ain't
ain't
the
the kind of book you
word?
should be reading if you feeling that way. No way.
You damn near poured a bucket of water on the fire, so
I'm telling you, you got to read shit where bitches is fucked up and you are superior to these hoes. I'm telling you,
maybe that's
it'll
what
make.
I need to read. Cause
I'm telling you,
y'all bought the Bella's book in 2020, and I ain't finished it yet. We still have.
no, you got to read the right kind of shit. Now, you got to find the kind of smut that you like. First of all, because I like reading smut.
Yeah. When it comes to when you want to get into it, start out with smut because you're gonna find something you like. Something
I
that'll
like,
stick
It's
with
not
you.
I
that.
prefer black authors for my
It's
smut
not
because
that it's a boring book. I just
white folks is too fucking prissy, and I don't have time for that. You sit up there like he was so handsome with his glistening chiseled abs. No, no,
okay.
no. I don't want to hear that. No, just tell me he was a hood nigga with locks.
Okay, Shonda wrote the same book. She said this nigga was fine as hell.
Right.
He was a
Tell
D
me some
boy.
shit.
He used to sell dope back in the day. He
Right.
low key still do,
There you
but
go. There you
he
go. Now you
corporate
got me.
now, so he don't really
Now you
do too
got
much.
me.
It's just weed. But he used to sell zips of
I just
kilos
need
of
I just
shit.
need a little bit. Just give me some shit that I can work with. I don't like reading the white smut because it's just not. It's too
Like the
fucking
black
pretty.
authors is like the video of Kaya reading that book.
So I might send down if I get down in the Secret Santa thing. I might send him a book, but I know his black ass ain't gonna read it.
I
I have
finished
to
the
send
book
him.
before. You
I
know,
had to send
you're
him an
right
Audible book. The only thing
because
with the Audible is
I finished Big Little Lies, and that's a messy series.
I might have to read that.
Yeah, it's real white, but the show was good too. But the book is bomb.
If you want good book, if you want books tailored to you, try Bookfinity. You can take a quick quiz and they'll tell you what kind of book reader you are. Do they got black authors at Bookfinity? Because I'm telling you right now, if you're gonna send me a bunch of white people, I'm gonna choke it. I quit.
How quick is the quiz?
Because
Yeah,
Don ain't gonna sit there but for 2 minutes. I'm like, all right, now shit. If you don't know by now, then
it's just
fuck
not
it.
worth
I'm gonna just
knowing.
go back to watching the
If
Upshaws.
it takes this long, then books up for me.
Yeah, I can't wait, boy. But get on with your
I'm
book.
sorry, Rico. Go
What's
ahead.
the
You go ahead.
waste?
Rico,
Okay. Well, back to what we
sir,
were saying. Anyways, um,
is you here? Is you alive, Rico? Oh,
Oh yeah.
she said
okay.
go.
I said go ahead and tell us about the waste.
Oh, I think you cut out on me because y'all went quiet, and I was like, "Is anyone?"
Well, yeah, it cut
She
But
out
went
because we were
quiet.
calling you this whole time and you didn't say nothing.
yeah, I was like, y'all just went super quiet. That was it.
Record.
But yeah, so with the waste, the way the waste works is there was a chemical spill at some point in time that contaminated the soil and the water supply for the nearby towns and like the nearby farms. And so because these things were contaminated, what ended up
Wait.
happening was through
Excuse me.
it was through ingesting
I'm gonna make
the
this funny.
contaminated shit, like the produce, the water, and all that stuff that brought the virus to humans.
Mm.
And so once the virus is ingested, it has to enter the bloodstream first. And then once the bloodstream, there are a total of 5 stages on how you transform. Within the first 3, there is a chance to save you. Within those first 3 stages, I made iodine the key to purification just because iodine is a natural purifier. And I actually got that idea from the what were you say, Chris?
No, I'm saying that's a pretty simple cure. Is iodine.
Simple good or simple bad?
No, it's not bad. It's just I never would have thought of iodine, of using iodine, because in my mind it's always something complicated, and they're always talking about how everybody's got to die, everybody's gonna die. They act like there's nothing that can help, and you're like, no, just get rid of this bitch with iodine, and that'll be the end of it. And I was like, okay, yeah.
Just get your
But if
Yeah,
it's
vaccine.
scarce, but like in my mind, it's like, okay, it's a post-apocalyptic world, so it can't be readily available everywhere. Otherwise, you could cure everybody. You know what
that
I'm
is
saying?
true.
So
Yeah,
I'm like,
that
even
is,
though it's a simple cure, and when I say simple, I don't mean it in a bad way. I just mean like, okay, that's readily available. That's not something you have to create. You see what I mean? Because like
yeah.
you watch like World War Z or even The Walking Dead, like you watch that kind of stuff and you're like, okay, something has to get rid of the virus. Something has to be able to kill it without killing the host, right? Even when you watch what's it called? The Last of Us, which that show freaks me out so much. I haven't finished it. I haven't even gotten past I haven't watched it past the first episode because it scares the living daylights out of me. Um
Oh,
there's no cure for it. There's no way to get rid of it. And what's scary is that type of virus that's in The Last of Us can exist in our time if they weren't being killed off by the heat right now.
Mhm.
So
that
like
sounds like the rain or the
it's
100.
so because they changed it originally, and I don't mean to take it away from Rico. So I'm sorry, Rico. But
Right?
originally the virus in the game, it was similar. It's still it used spores to spread the virus in the game. So it was a respiratory thing. You would breathe it in and then it would begin to slowly take over. And this one is cordyceps. And cordyceps in the fungi world, they simply exist to continue to take over. And they have these, oh god, they're tentacles, and when they first showed it on the show, the lady was dead. Obviously, the host was dead, but the fungi was still living, and it was trying to get out of her mouth, and you could see it, and it just it freaked me out so much. And I couldn't watch the rest of it. I haven't watched the rest of the show, and I want to see it, but I told Jared I can't do it. I just couldn't. I was like, you watch it and just tell me what happened. And he haven't even finished it. So they haven't found, there was no cure to get rid of that virus. The only way you can kill it was you had to blow it up. You had to set everything on fire. Burning
Shoot
it was
that
the only
bitch.
way to kill it.
Yeah, when
So I
it
think
comes
it's simple, but
yeah,
it's
when it comes
effective.
to it is, yeah, it's simple but effective. But the thing about when you're infected with the virus, because again, it's because in the like, going back to like more history and like the initial outbreaks, they do plan to explore that a little bit. Um, it took them a while to figure out that that was the cure. So it took them like a few years to realize like, hey, this is what's gonna help us to like prevent this. And so that's
Mhm.
how I can kind of explain away like how it was able to spread so quickly. Because again, people got infected by drinking water and eating produce, and that's a
Yeah.
very rapid way of it spreading. And then once you're infected with the virus, the whole I wanted to make it unique in the sense that it reacts to a person's body chemistry. And I got the inspiration from that from Lyme disease, because with Lyme disease, when you get it by a tick bite, and ticks carry so many other diseases that it can kind of mask itself as other things to see some misdiagnosis. And I wanted to incorporate that into the weight because it's reacting differently to different people. Um, and that also explains all the different mutations that you get. So with all these different people getting it, it's reacting differently. It's having various adverse effects, but it does deteriorate the brain the farther it progresses. And as the brain deteriorates, it also causes a sharp pain in the ocular nerves, which is the stinging sensation behind the eyes. And obviously, as the brain deteriorates, it gets brought to this more primal
What
state.
the fuck is this?
What?
I'm sorry.
I thought you were talking about it.
No.
No, it's just somebody stuck something in the dishwasher, and it's just my sister's fucking math shit.
Oh.
Over
Okay.
it.
Yeah. So, okay. But yeah, the race. So yeah, so as the brain deteriorates, it causes like a sharp stinging pain behind the eyes because it's pinching the ocular nerve. And then as the brain, the find like the point of no return stage, which is stage 4, is when the host is essentially so overwhelmed by because they also have other symptoms while the virus progresses, like they have headache, nausea. They have disorientation that I kind of based off of when what's it called? What's that thing called with Alzheimer's and dementia patients, like sundowning.
Mm-hmm.
So they have like this the disorientation is so bad that they start having episodes that reflect sun. And eventually the intensity of the symptoms causes them to gouge out their own eyes, and that's what the like point of no return is. Because once that happens, they are fully to the waste. Like they can't think anymore. The person there is no longer there. The virus has took over completely. And obviously, as they kind of devolve into this natural state, the virus wants to spread itself more. And so that's how the cannibalistic urges kind of come about. And another thing into like how, because yes, iodine is a very simple cure, but when you're dealing with, you know, cannibalistic urges, sometimes even if you wash the wounds with iodine, that's still not going to save them based on the injuries that they received, which I also wanted to incorporate. Because there are some people where it's like, if they, because if they come across a group of waste and if they get, bit on the arm or the leg, fine. But if, they take some serious damage, no amount of iodine is going to save them because of the severity of their wound. And so they're going to turn regardless. Or they're either going to turn or they're going to die. There's no in between. So I also wanted to incorporate that as well because I do know that iodine is a very, very simple and readily accessible thing to have as a cure. And that's why I wanted to kind of have things that could make it not so like 100% all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point,
Okay,
somebody's a
so
lying bitch.
yeah. So you gotta pick a struggle when it comes to a book, and then you need to stick with it. The way that it's structured, the way that you have it written, and the way that things are going, I think you got a good idea and a good way of this book panning out. I'm just curious as to how it's going to continue to expand on that world and then how you're going to end it. But I also think that you don't have to make it so detailed when it comes to the situation because zombie lore is already been done to death. In your book, that's not even the main focus of the book. It's just a backdrop of the world that they live in. So I wouldn't even go into the trouble of going that far. You made it very simple. I think that's okay. I think later on down the line, if that happens in the book to somebody important, it can be explained then. But I don't think that it has to be at the forefront of all of that at this very moment.
Oh yeah,
Because
no, and I don't.
you have enough going on with those guys, with your characters, and that backdrop of the world being in that way, it aids in why everybody is the way that they is. So that makes it fun. And I'm just saying, like, I get it. I know you like to have things laid out for yourself, which that makes sense to me. You're writing it. But me as a reader, I wouldn't need all of that. I would feel like I didn't need to read all of that.
Yeah, because you
Oh
can't
yeah, no.
really
When
get
it comes,
into the details.
yeah, when it comes to this, to like at least experience the virus. I just have it on hand, so that way I can kind of keep that in mind as I'm writing, because there will come a point where the wakes become more prominent. For the first little bit, when they're in, because again, the main colony that this book revolves around is the Nest, and that's in like what remains of like New York and stuff. And so since they're in this like massive colony, they don't really need to worry about it all that much. But there will come times, especially the book starts out with an expedition. They do regular expeditions outside of the bounds of the colony so that they can kind of scavenge for supplies and stuff like that where their way to come from. So that's something that I have on hand. Obviously, the readers will find that out as they go along. But this is just something that I'm like explaining the virus now so that I know and I can kind of keep that in my back pocket.
Okay.
Brought up the characters. So, first case, obviously, I mentioned Warren Soto with a Space Marine. When the story picks up, I can kind of spoil like the first story or the first. So I don't care. But when the first chapter picks up with Warren, he's scavenging an abandoned mall, just kind of looking for supplies. Because again, he took this virus as my chance, like forget everything that happened with his detective discharge and him being estranged from his younger brother Victor, and just kind of like, I have all this baggage from the previous world. This is kind of my way out. So he's been on his own for like the last 9 years, just kind of fending for himself. And it's during this abandoned mall that he comes across 3 of our other important characters. One of which being one of his old buddies from the Marines, which is obviously like, holy shit, like someone from my past. This is exactly what I'm trying to avoid. No, but after shit happens, he has to go with them to the Nest, and the Nest is where his brother is also happens to be at. And so he, after like 9 years of avoiding everything, he's having to come like directly face to face with all the shit he's been avoiding all this time. And so it causes like obviously a lot of tension, a lot of drama. And it's very interesting just because I made their personalities very like not non-confrontational. And since she's read it, she can kind of like also like attest to that. Like they're both very non-confrontational until they have to be, and right now they don't want to be, so they're like trying to kind of avoid each other, but also, they're dancing around that. A difficult thing to discuss. In regards to what caused the what is the word? I just had it. The estrangement. That's it. Like, the thing that has them at odds. I'm purposely making that like a mystery to figure out, just because it's gonna take a lot, and I do like kind of crafting a bit of a mystery. Because neither of them want to directly talk about it. They don't want to address it. But it gets messy because, again, one of his old buddies from the Marines he meets at the mall. His buddy from the Marines, his name is John, he is dating his brother right now. So you have,
Dun, dun.
have a very complex thing here because he stumbles across his old buddy and he's like, oh, okay, whatever. But he doesn't know that he's dating his younger brother because he's been gone for 9 years. And him and Victor haven't spoken for 11 years. So it's been longer for them since they've last seen each other.
It's a lot.
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to explain this like this to everybody?
Probably not.
Okay.
Well, I will say it's not. He's not entertained, is what he's saying, and that's
It's not
not
that
to
I'm
be
not
rude.
entertained because I do find it very interesting, but you are giving me so much that I don't even want to read the book.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
don't have to.
Because you didn't told him everything.
You told me everything. You telling me the details of the story about, the drama, but
That's why I said, like, sometimes, as much as I pick on him, he is right when he says you need to be a bit more vague, but still describe it in a way where people would want to engage. So that's why I was like, the details of how you can fix the virus and all of that are interesting, but those are details more specifically for you so that you know how you can write and describe in the book. But for somebody else, when you're trying to get them to read it, you just need to make a synopsis where you can understand it enough where it doesn't give away the whole plot or pieces of the plot, and it still makes people want to read it. So that part about Victor, because I didn't catch it until the very end, I was like, "Oh, damn it! Maybe I should have caught him before he said something." That part I would have kept to myself, mainly because it's a good piece in the book that was a bit shocking, because when I read it, I was like, wait a minute, they know each other. And I was like, ooh, this is messy, honey. This is messy.
not
But
a
it was a
question.
good piece.
When you thought about the book, what was your overall goal? What's the point?
I wanted to tell a story from the perspective of a protagonist who's like done shitty things, like objectively shitty, like not like someone who's like not an innocent person.
Okay, you answered the question, but you didn't really answer the question. What is the point that you're trying to make about this book?
Oh, okay. There's a few, but I'll give like the main one. Um, my goal with this book is I wanted to essentially like, because again, with the estrangement between them, I kind of wanted there to be, because I'm also going to pull on my experience with my family just a bit. But you kind of tell like, the story between how family members can be at odds with each other and how they can potentially repair it, like depending on how that is. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out how everything would tie together at this point. When you're doing this, are you just writing stuff down, or are you doing like, I want to say a rough draft, but like I forgot what the fuck you call it. But I could template with your bullet points on points you want to hit within a certain chapter, within parts of the book, ideas you want to touch on. Are you doing that, or are you just typing as you go?
With each chapter, there are certain points I want to hit on.
An outline. Jesus Christ. Oh boy. Take you back to school. Okay, so yeah, maybe it's just me and taking stuff serious, but you would want to do a outline. This would kind of guide you to what you want to do, points you want to hit, so you're not spending all day explaining everything. Um, it'll also help you summarize the whole book once you're finished with it, or certain parts. So say you do about 4 more chapters. You take those 4 chapters, you summarize it real quick. A good 4 sentences. It ain't gotta be wordy, it ain't gotta be long. You ain't gotta tell everything about those 4 chapters. Maybe 2, 3 sentences from each chapter.
I agree. Because even if you put the book out there, you still have to be able to describe it without giving the whole book away.
So
So,
like family dynamic is already crazy enough. Try solving it within a world full of chaos.
yeah, no, I mean that's
Boom.
not bad. That's not bad, Rico. You might want to write that down and steal it.
I
I'm
don't
writing it
read
down
books,
right
y'all, but I do be writing.
Shut up.
I do be
Are
writing
you a
some shit
plotting
now.
writer or a fly by the seat of your pants kind of person?
There you
I'd be
go.
fine.
Ah, that explains it. So,
That makes sense. So while still at the same time where you're just flying through, take a second before you send it out to the group chats to read. Take a second, read it yourself, jot some stuff down. Like you have to read, you have to know what your key points in your chapters are. That's not for us to decide. You have to
correct.
know your key points. You read your chapter. This is the key point right here. Okay, this is a turning point right here. This is a subtle detail right here. Everything you do needs to be noted for your sake, so you know.
But
So you're
that
not
he's
just
right
writing
because
a plain synopsis down and reading it to us
but he's
because you're
right because
telling
it'll
us
help you
everything.
pinpoint it. You'll be able to pinpoint how you can structure your synopsis for it. Because you take key points or you take a summary of each of that chapter and you can summarize it in like one or two sentences. Then you'll have your synopsis written without having to destroy the whole book in your
Because you done
synopsis.
told me the plot with the brother and the sister and the dude she dating.
There is no sister. It's two brothers.
Don't
But the
tell him
brothers,
that.
whatever. But I thought he could tell me that because I thought what he was saying, I thought he was saying the sister. But with the two brothers,
Mm,
he told me the whole dynamic between three people already.
yeah,
I
but
already
there's
know it's
something he
messy.
missing that you definitely need to find out. But I ain't gonna say nothing else because
But
he done.
within that, he's already told me too much.
He told he okay, I'll give him a
Brothers
little
are at
bit of
odds.
leeway. He told you a lot, but there's still a lot he left out that
Which is
actually
fine.
would keep you intrigued for the book. If we're
But
being fair to Rico,
don't say
because
it.
that's a heavy piece of it. I'm not gonna lie, he did give you a big chunk, but he also left out a
This
lot.
shit gotta be clean.
And I was like, when you do read it, if you read it,
Yeah,
You're
you
not
being
it's
going
a
petty.
to.
big if.
If you read, if you read it, you are going to be interested to find out what's really going on because it's a lot, and you're just like, "Ooh, this is intriguing."
I'll put it
I'm
in
gonna
my calendar for 2040.
oh
Oh
Lord,
my
have mercy! Why didn't
Hopefully
he know his
WhatsApp.
next book? The fuck?
Hopefully WhatsApp ain't bought out by then.
Oh my
But yeah, you have
Not
to.
what.
You got to take these. You have to read through your own shit first of all, and you have to summarize it for yourself, for us.
Yeah. Because I will say, because I do read over it before I send it out, just because I have to. 'Cause I do have to go through and like spell check and shit, or like I'll have to like modify sentences. So I do have to. But in terms of summarizing, I've never really had to do that. Just because again, like I don't really. The only times I've shared stuff before is with another friend of mine who's also a writer. So this is like how I would explain it to him. But I have to remember that like not everyone is him. So I have to like summarize it and like you guys said, not give it all away at once.
Yes, you have to keep us interested enough to want
interested,
to read it, but you can't tell me everything like
right?
spoilers. That is
Because
where
that's
you
not
and I
what.
differ. You do tend to
Uh,
over explain. You over
yeah.
explain and I don't explain enough.
So, Hiram, we talking about Rico's book, and Rico wrote a book.
Not what he missed. He missed a lot.
Just to sum it up, he wrote a book. It has a zombie apocalyptic world in it, or post-apocalyptic world. But and it's got some other dynamics in it too. And to be fair to Rico, I'm not going to tell you everything, but if he ever publishes it, which he could self-publish,
He
he
put it
puts it
on
out there.
Amazon.
Yeah, you could read it because it's a good book.
I have to self-publish it differently.
Aaliyah said the intrigue was already there for me. And then I was like, oh, dang, okay, that changes the way I would read it. So that's another reason
Yeah.
why Don is saying keep some details to yourself because now you've revealed the dynamic between the two brothers. There's a piece that you left out conveniently, which is fine. But there's that certain dynamic between the two brothers that's gonna come up in the book, and she's already gonna be expecting it. So you've taken a piece of the intrigue away from the book, is what she's saying. So you can't tell them those
Like
parts.
that. Just like
You gotta be a little bit more vague. Descriptive is different from telling the whole story. You can describe your book without giving away your whole half of your plot or even a part of it. Okay, well, first, congrats, Rico.
thank you, Harlan.
Like it's
Okay,
more
he said,
to somebody's brother and his boyfriend than the brother meets the eye, meets the brother's eye, or whatever the fuck, however you
yeah,
want to put it.
I might read the book, even though I don't like reading books to begin with. Don doesn't like read books either. That's not his thing. I can barely get the man to watch movies. So,
Yeah, honey, that's a struggle with. Oh, child. Speaking of movies, we gotta once he finishes this, I gotta tell y'all about this African movie I just sat through. And y'all know how I feel about African production.
there's a South African movie on Netflix that everybody keeps talking about.
Girl, it's crazy, and you know exactly what it is. It's called Homewrecker. It's so goddamn crazy.
Oh shit, that's the one everybody keeps yelling and screaming about on Twitter. And I was like, what is this movie?
Girl, the shit is wild. But we'll get back to it. I can
No,
talk
but
about it on the
Don is a
KTT.
music guy, so he doesn't like
Yeah, I
he'll watch
don't,
a movie, he'll watch a TV show,
but I'm not a
like he
movie
loves
buff.
TV shows. He'll binge a good TV show, but a movie, it's gotta be really something for him to be intrigued to watch a movie. But music and TV, that's more his speed. And he's very specific about the TV that he watched. I prefer reading because I can create the imagery in my head. Certain characters look a particular way to me, but they won't look that way to you or Rico or somebody else. So I like to read. That's why I like reading my smut books.
She's died by them smut books.
I love those books.
When Tiff passed away, there was a smut book.
No, because some things some things I'm a little too, it's a little too adventurous for me. So I get to kind of live vicariously through the characters. There's just some things I just can't do. But she can do it. And she described what it feel like. And I'd be like, oh, okay. Word. Word. And I go about my business. But it'd be more like the dudes, women writers, when they write those kinds of books. It's interesting how they describe men. There's usually a similar over and undertone when how they describe the men. They're usually very in shape, extremely attractive men. They're always very much in control. But I've noticed when male writers write those kinds of books, it's the opposite. The girls are attractive, but they don't describe them the same way that a woman would describe it, if that makes sense. But they describe these women as either the presenting personality is usually very evasive. She'll come across as somebody who is mysterious yet intriguing. Then when you meet her, she got a whole freaky side that comes out. Or she's one of those overachiever type of women. She lives her life a particular way. She's never had the kind of sex that he can provide. So when she gets that, she opens up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that.
Literally.
He's not lying. That's the truth. Literally, she will open up. It's always like that, but they mirror each other. It's interesting to read if you find two authors that write that kind of material. You'll see it for yourself. Black, white, or indifferent, they all write them the same. White female writers like that, though, they're weirdos. They're weirdos. There's a set of books that I bought, and I bought it under the guise of this girl that I followed on TikTok. and she was talking about the books, and I was like, okay, this might seem like it seemed real interesting. I find that white women like white men of wealth who are overtly controlling, borderline abusive controlling. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of way they write their men. Think like 50 Shades of Grey. I don't always like reading that. Like I like because the smart writers that I follow and that I read, their characters have different aspects to them. Like the last one I read was by Rosie Adams, and she wrote a guy who was a chef and he was a private chef. He wasn't like overly dominant or trying to do nothing weird. He went over to this lady's house. She had just sold her company and she was having a party for herself. Her friend couldn't make it, so the chef came to cook the food for her and the party she was supposed to have between her and her friend. They ended up really liking each other. He had sex with her that night. It was just that short and simple. You heard about him. They ended up meeting up again later on and having dinner at the end and actually going on a date. That was it. There wasn't a lot of like nuance in between. That book was meant to be short and sweet. It explained the two. It got to the fucking. That's how it went down. All right. When you read her other book, the one I told y'all about before, it did explain the type of guy that I'm telling you about. He likes to be in control of himself and in the situation. So there are certain ways he will act and operate. Now he wasn't so controlling to the point where they go out to dinner. He ordering her food for her. He won't let her order her food. He don't want her to have her own mind or speak or think, because that's how they be in the white smut books. That's how they operate.
Perhaps
and it's just
weird for the
weird.
lady.
Right. Like you need to stop.
Perhaps not.
No, we gonna get these ribs, bitch. Like I don't understand it. It's just so weird. And I'm like, I don't like this. But the books that I bought from on the guys of this TikToker that I follow, y'all, I haven't read them. But I read the synopsis of them on the back of the book. And it was my fault because I bought it on her recommendation and I didn't read the full synopsis of the plot of the books. The girl, the female lead in the book, is the goddaughter to the man that she ends up being in a relationship with.
Oh, wow.
Hear me when I say this. She is his goddaughter. He is a man of wealth and prominence, but he is 30 years her senior.
Hold on. Wait a damn minute.
Let it sink in. Let it sink in. Hear me when I say this. Sir?
30 years older than she is.
Yes. Which, so think about what I'm saying. He's her godfather, which means he was around when she was born.
Her grow up.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So it pissed me off. And I was like, bitch, you could have told me that this man, and you reading it, talking about, oh my God, it's so sexy. I'm like, bitch, what kind of pedophilia bullshit is you into, you nasty whore? What kind of shit is this? I spent $39 on this damn book. I was so goddamn
nasty bitch.
And then the bitch said you can't refund it. She can't refund you for the books. I take your money back.
Okay. So don't worry about it. I'm just gonna put a dispute in for my bank.
I said, you trifling whore.
Not a whore.
I went to her TikTok page and I posted under the video where she jumping up and down, screaming and hollering about how good this fucking book is. And I was like, bitch, you didn't say that the book was about him being with his goddaughter. She was like, why does that matter? I said,
because that's a big deal.
I said, ma'am, what do you mean?
You sound like you're projecting.
Then she blocked me. And I'm like, TikTok keeps pushing these book talk videos at me. And this is the author comes up on my page. And I'm like, so nobody's going to say how this lady is writing stories about this old ass white man who happens to be attractive and has a lot of money, and he ends up having a child with his goddaughter. They have children.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, y'all don't see nothing wrong with this?
No, it happens in their family all the time. Blue eyes.
Not happening in their family.
And he know he ain't right.
Die, you stupid.
He's not right for that. I was so mad. I told Dry, I said, Dry. Now, whether you be cool or come out of a bag on me, listen, I bought these books.
I'm right here, 185.
I said, I can't get the money back for the books. But I promise you, I did not know that these hoes was writing this trifling shit. He was like, what's the book about? And I tell him, he was like, oh, hell no. Let's burn them. Let's burn.
So we can always recycle them bitches.
I'm like, I don't want nobody else to read this shit. I'm being 100% honest.
I have to warn the public.
I don't want people to read that book. I was so upset. I was so angry because I'm like, she's got a big following on TikTok. She's got over 1 million followers and she's recommending this book. And I'm like, it wouldn't be so bad if he wasn't around when she was younger. But the way they kind of get around it is that he left when she was like 5. And then he came back and she was an adult. I'm like, it's just too close for comfort for me. I don't like it. She's in her 20s and he's in his 50s. And it's just like, what? I said, okay.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
I said, all right, whatever. I'm like, you know what? Fine. I stopped following her. She blocked me, so I couldn't respond to any comments she put on there anyway. She blocked me and deleted all my comments off of all her pages because it was late and I was mad.
Did she leave? Did she look for?
Yeah, I was. I was very upset.
Okay, I'm on the phone.
And then I went and I found some authors that I actually really liked. The only type of fantasy books that I read are from Black authors because I just like the way they structure their worlds. And it's like there's one by an author named Jessica Cage, and her books have a lot to do with fairies and jinns and warlocks and witches, and like it's a whole to do in that book, but it's such a cool way that she got the book structured that I really, really loved the book itself. And I've been reading the whole series, but it's not weird. You know what I'm saying? Like it takes a dynamic of our world and places it in the fantasy world of like warlock, witches, vampires, and all that other kind of stuff. But it's not trying to be too overly full of itself. You know what I mean? It's a normalized world with those types of creatures in it. And humans are there and they've already taken over the world. So they're fighting the same way that humans would fight. Same way you see the X-Men fighting and shit. It's the same thing. So it's interesting. I'd rather watch that kind of stuff or read that kind of stuff than to I just don't like the way white authors structure their smut. It's always somebody being overly dominant over the other. And I'm like, y'all act like that's the only kink in the world. Like find something else. As long as nobody's eating shit. As long as nobody's eating nobody's shit and doing something like that, I don't give a shit. But find something else.
Look at how America was made.
I don't want to read that.
They don't know how to break the shackles. They're not creative enough.
I don't want to.
Unfortunately, everybody is not creative.
And it's always though. And I don't mean it in a way to be like harping on them because you write what you love, whatever works for you. If it makes you money, I'm fine with it. But there got to be something said about your psyche if that's all you can write about. And I promise you, every single book that I found that was like that is the same. And then when it gets to the BBW books, that shit makes me even more mad. because there's an author who wrote a book that I read recently, and it was something about the BBWs can't get a billionaire, or big girls can get a billionaire, some shit like that. And I was like, okay, here we go. And the girl was fat, and she was invisible at school, and the teacher saw her, and he fell in love with her mind, and he wanted to be with her, and he helped push her self-esteem. And I was like, why she gotta have a man to push her self-esteem? Why she can't be fly and fat, and he liked her because she was fly and fat?
Because they just never seen something like that.
Like,
So
why she gotta
believable.
be a little pussy ass, little weak? And she was just the little weakest bitch. Just ask, well, why do you like me? Bitch, who gives a fuck? Like, you getting some. Why you? Oh, she made me so mad. I was yelling at the book.
When you're
Shut up and
bigger,
take that dick.
Yeah, yes. Like, what is you
Jesus.
mad? Why are you asking questions?
Why
Why?
you like
She's
me?
there like, why do you like me? I'm like, I'm so fat. And he was like, you're beautiful the way you are. I'm like, yes, bitch. Now go get some and shut the fuck up. I don't care.
Like, there's a final book because he killed Murphy.
I was like, I don't care about you crying. I've never really had someone interested in me before. I'm like, mainly it's because you always crying, ho. I want no crying ass bitch. I'm not gonna sit up here and listen to you. I was like, do they get together or not? I had to go through 2 chapters.
We know
I was
who to
like, you
not
know
put
what?
in the former fat focus groups because
I can't do it.
she would not be nice. I just feel like nobody likes you because I'm fat. No, nobody likes you because you have low self-esteem.
That's the point. Thank you.
You should be confident in yourself.
I'm like, you don't have to be a size 2 to be happy. And then it was the way the man had to give her confidence that I did not like. I was just like, this is so fucking disheartening. And I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. This is so misogynistic. And I'm like, how you a woman writing this story? And then what pissed me off even more is the bitch wasn't fat. I'm like, you writing fat stories and your ass is skinny? I ought to come whoop your ass. You
that's
don't know
probably
shit about shit.
had such
This
low
bitch is
self.
perpetrating.
Cause for real.
Because whenever you see everyone else, I've realized this with any media that portrays the big girl, is the big girl always gotta hate herself because she did.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand why it's like that. Like I'm like, you could be down on yourself sometimes. I get that. Everybody has their moment. Everybody has their day. Cool beans. But this girl in this movie, this book was insufferable. Like she was walking through and she was standing there. There was a scene where it was described where the girl was standing there on campus and she was wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt in the middle of fucking July because she didn't want nobody to see her body. I said, okay, girl. I said, okay. Then she's walking by. She keeps her hand. The way they described her, she had the books in front of her, backpack on. She kept her hair really long and she kept it in her face. She had glasses on. She said she never wore makeup because she didn't want to draw attention to herself.
Oh, this jacket.
And she was walking across the lawn to go to her next class, and the cheerleaders were running because they were jogging, and she described them as having perfect petite bodies, and they were wearing she said they were wearing those Lululemon leggings and tops, and they all looked like beautiful little Barbies running across the lawn. And she's like, I just look like their frumpy, ugly cousin. And I'm like, that's because that's how you describe yourself. I'm like, at this point, girl, if you're gonna be like this, I don't want to read this. I don't.
Someone's projecting.
I really didn't like. Shut up. I didn't.
Don't talk about the author.
I didn't like that bitch. I didn't like her. I was so upset when the professor came around. He was a TA. She described him as being attractive, but he was also very intrigued by her. Every time they would have class, when the professor wouldn't be there and would let him teach, he would always zero in on her. He would always ask her questions, and that's how he found out how smart she was. So then he invites her back for class after class to help him grade papers, and he asked her to be his assistant. And I said, "Bitch,
He won't you?
okay." And she's like, "I don't understand why he's asking me. He could have just asked, I can't think of the other bitch's name he called. Because there was a lot of girls in the class that liked her or liked him. And she was just so flabbergasted that he asked her. They had to meet to grade the papers after school. So her roommate tells her that the dude likes her, and the roommate was her skinny best friend who's been trying to get her out of her comfort zone. And she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna help you get him, and we're gonna make you over." I'm like, I know y'all ain't doing no makeover montage in this fucking book. I just know you bitches is not for. I'm
Like
sitting
it's a
here reading
movie.
it, and she like, we went through all my clothes, and I didn't really have anything that I could wear that would make him see me. I'm like, bitch, he saw you through all this goddamn sweater pants and shit you got on, and your hair greasy and in your face. I'm like, girl.
I can see through all that Maybelline.
Well, she didn't have on no damn Maybelline. Shit, I was so
I see.
goddamn mad.
Right through your
Fuck is
Payless
this,
glasses.
nigga? When she finally got to the damn date, the way the author described it, the girl basically had on a clueless-esque outfit. She put her in one of those skirts, a midi skirt. She said, "We're gonna go full on 2000s glam." I said,
Okay.
"What the fuck is that?" Because in the 2000s, we was
Lowbrow?
dressing like we was layering shit in the 2000s. Okay, most bitches had on 3 tank tops,
With a
a
t-shirt
pair of
underneath.
boot cut jeans, and 2 belts.
2 pairs of socks and some slides.
Child, okay. Them hoes was dressing like we
And
was
them
going to
bumps
the office
in the
after the
back.
club.
With the ribbons in your hair.
And the kitten heels.
And the Melissas.
Yeah, or they wore them slouchy brown boots with the midi heel to it. Child.
Oh,
Them po 2000s. Them po 2000s.
and Slow Rider
Anyways.
came out with the apple bottom jeans and boots with the studs.
Yes. She
Child, they went crazy.
she said it was 2000s glam. She gave her a midi skirt. She had on some how can I describe it? She had on what I would call, the girls said they were block-heeled loafers. So think like, the best way I pictured it in my head was like, if you've ever seen penny loafers with a block heel on it.
It sounds like a thick ass crock.
Do you get what I'm saying?
That's what it's giving.
She had on that and thigh high. Well, not thigh high. She said it was. Oh God, what was they? Now I have to find the fuck it. It was a 2000s outfit, and she claimed it was very Cher Clueless-esque. Okay, so in my mind, I pictured it with. She described it with the socks coming up to her knee or her thigh. I can't remember. She had some long socks on. They were white. She had on a black midi skirt. She had on a tank top, and then she had on the jacket to the leather. She had a leather jacket to go on over the tank top. She pulled her hair back because she said she had a pretty face and she was hiding it, and she needed to stop hiding it. She took her glasses off
I'm trying.
and
Not the
forced her to wear
glasses.
some. Baby, she was wearing glasses. She took her glasses off, told her to wear her contacts, and then she did her makeup. And the description that they gave was, her inner beauty finally came out. And I was like, oh, great,
Ooh wee. Now the
amazing.
magic happened.
So the girl went and stood in the mirror and was like, oh my God, I've never seen myself like this. I'm like, that's because you was too fucking lazy to do it, bitch. That's why. She was like, okay. She was like, girl, go ahead and get your man. I was like, "Ugh,
Go
ugh."
get him, girlfriend.
She goes, this is the part that
Oh,
fucking she goes to the fucking library to meet the dude in the library. The TA sitting there and he got coffee and donuts for them to eat because he said it was gonna be a long night. So he got the coffee, had himself sitting there. He says, you look great. What's the occasion?
I
So
just
she
commend
was
you that you actually finished that
I
you read
finished
this
the book. I wasn't you not finna
I,
hoodwink me into reading this book. And I done spent my hard-earned money
I commend you for
on
finishing
this fucking book. I want to see what this bitch was gonna do with it.
because I wouldn't.
I wanted to see. I wanted to see. Cause you got me all the way fucked up.
Fuck that. I would have went somewhere and got the damn synopsis, got the damn cliff notes online.
No,
Okay,
I'm
I would have
really-
went to I would have went to Schmoop and see if it was on there because this is crazy.
I read it. She said,
Oh my,
were
this
they
is
were they
bullshit
knee
right here.
socks? I can't remember. I can't remember if they were if they came up to her knee or if they were thigh high. I don't remember. I'm being honest.
So
I don't.
basically,
I just
she
know she.
looks like a whore.
Yeah, she looked like a preppy whore. If it makes sense.
Rappy boy.
No, for real. It's that's. Come on. So she sits down and he says to her, you look great. What's the occasion? And she kind of blushes a little bit. And the book goes in her mind, she's just like, oh my God, I misinterpreted this. This isn't a date. And she just in her head, she's like, red alert, red alert. This isn't a date. I'm like, bitch, what is this? You got alarms? What the fuck is going on? I said, oh my God. She says, oh no, I had a date before, so it was a really early date, so I just, left the date and came here. He was like, oh, you got your date short for me, blah blah blah, whatever. Get to the good part. They're sitting there, they're eating coffee and they're drinking coffee and eating fucking donuts, and she's helping him grade the papers, and he says to her that he thinks that she's really pretty. They were talking about something. I forgot because I skipped through some of it because I was tired of their bullshit banter, and I wanted to know what was gonna happen. So when I got to the end part where they actually started something, and he just was like, he looks at her after they had this conversation. He's just sitting there staring at her, and she's like, "What are you looking at?" And he was like, "I just think you're really beautiful." And she was like, "You're only saying that because I got my hair up and I have on this makeup. If I didn't have on this makeup, you wouldn't say that." He was like, "That's not true. Because that's why I picked you in the first place because I was really attracted to you." And I was like, ew, okay? Just ew.
Like, ho, do you know why you can steal?
I'm like, whatever. So
of all the bitches she could have chose,
he leans in to kiss her. And she says, oh my God, he's trying to kiss me. I've never been kissed before. I said, bitch, I know you fucking lying. I know you lying. And she just said, all I know how to do is what I've seen in the movies. I said, well, bitch, mimic it. Do something. What you gonna do? Just sit there? Child, when he kissed her, she turned her face. I said, I don't know who this author is, but she is fucking insufferable. Okay. She turns her face. He kissed her on the cheek. And he's like, I'm sorry if I was too forward. She was like, no, I've just never been kissed before. And I'm like, why would you tell him that? He was like, what do you mean? And she goes on and explains how when she was little, she was bullied and how she's just been afraid to get out there. And they're standing up and getting the books and stuff together to leave. And then all of a sudden it starts to rain and he pulls up. He has this newspaper and puts it over their head and they get to the car and he's like, I really like you. And I want to see you again outside of the school stuff. And she says, oh, I like you too. and I shared some intimate moments with you, and I appreciate you listening. And then he finally kisses her, and I'm just like, really? Okay. After it's over, he was like, oh, yeah, I don't believe you don't know how to kiss. You did great. I was like, "Ugh." It took 3 chapters for her to get the draws. When she finally got it, she overheard some of the other girl students that didn't like her because she started to change. Okay, so after she got kissed, she told her friend that she wanted to buy some new clothes and really change up her wardrobe and look real nice. So they went shopping and bought new stuff. And she started coming to class and wearing makeup, and she had different clothes on, and she looked according to the book, she really beefed up her style. Didn't really say what she wore, just beefed it up. I said, okay.
It's
One of the
giving for
mm-hmm. One of the girls that liked the professor too, well, the TA too, she saw that the TA was giving her a lot of attention, and she didn't like that. So she was like, she was like, oh,
Oh
that's
shit.
her clothes, and she's got her hair up, and she's wearing makeup all of a sudden. Must be somebody she really likes. So they start plotting and scheming, and the professor tells his TA that he needs him in his office for the weekend to because he has to go out of town. He has to grade the rest of these papers, and then he's got to run the class on Monday. So he was like, you need to pick an assistant so that they can help and maintain the office for the weekend. And then Monday, we need to make sure that they get this quiz done because that was the big thing. They had this quiz or final or some shit that they had to do. So he picked the plus size girl to be his assistant, which to me was a major mistake. Everybody already whispering that y'all fucking, and then you pick her. Now you got a target on the bitch back. But whatever, he picks her. The little popular girl figures out that they were sleeping with each other because she came to the office and saw them making out. So she didn't like that. She didn't like the fat girl was getting the TA's attention. So she planned and plotted to get his attention. Yes. So she gets a plan in motion where she decides that she's going to have a meeting with the TA. She sets up the meeting and she goes to the office. She did one of the most cliche things I've ever heard in my life. She showed up to the office in a trench coat with nothing on underneath and some stilettos on.
This person is an Arthur.
I said, okay. The moment she walked in the office with the coat on, you should have left. The plus size girl was supposed to come and help him finish grading the papers that night. They had been officially dating for a little while. Just to give you some info. So technically, that was her boyfriend. She shows up right when the girl opens up her coat, and he takes his feet off the desk, and he just stands up. Plus size girl is standing outside the door looking in, and all she see is this girl with her coat open, and he's just standing there. He reaches for the girl, and the girl runs out of the hallway of the office and goes and cries to her friend. He was reaching to close her coat. He was like, you need to get out of my office. I do not sleep with students. She was like, oh yes you do, you sleeping with her. And I was like, ooh, okay, now
She got you there, buddy.
now we get so
Gotcha, bitch.
right. He was like, we're consenting adults. I have no bearing over whether she graduates or not. I can sleep with her if I want to, and I'm choosing to. She was like, well, if I tell the dean that you're having sex with her, you're going to be kicked out. He was like, okay, go ahead. Then I'll show the dean that you came in here trying to entice me and you had your clothes off. She was like, you have no proof, but there was proof. The professor keeps a camera in the office for these very instances because there are girls who make those, at least according to the book, there are girls who make these accusations and they are not being truthful, but it's also for the protection of the students as well as for the protection of the professor. I was like, oh, okay. Conveniently. Sure. Long story short, the girl was just telling the dude she didn't want to be with him no more. He's like, I don't understand why you don't want to be with me. She said, I saw her in your office and she was naked and you didn't kick her out. He said, I did. She didn't believe him. So they broke up. She went back to dressing like a little frumpy ass garbage bag. And
Mhm.
the damn TA ended up changing schools. He left. The way the book ends, she graduates and he ends up becoming a professor at a different school. She decides to go to that school as a graduate and go for her doctorate degree there. And they meet up again and they get together. And that's how it ends. She apologizes. He tell her that he love her and he been waiting for her. And then they both hold hands and shit and ride off into the fucking sunset. And I was just like, I wasted $17 on this book.
Oh my god. I wouldn't have paid 5.
That
It was
sounds like a
$17.99.
typical movie.
I was like, this is a Lifetime movie in a book. I would have had more fun watching it on Lifetime than reading it. And I was very disturbed because I feel like a lot of times people think because you fat or what people would deem to be outside of the norm, whether you got a lazy eye, you got a gap in your teeth, or you fat or something, it don't matter. People always think that you somehow got low self-esteem or you can't pull no man or you a loner because
What happened?
Oh no, we lost it?
I think so.
Tiffany. Well,
Excuse
if
us,
you
y'all. We're having technical difficulties.
right, looks like we have to host the show temporarily.
Hmm.
Oh, we lost her completely. She's not here.
No, we lost some for real. Ooh,
Well,
this is it.
oh, she back.
they kicked me out.
Serena
Dang.
don't sometimes they don't sit right with them.
It doesn't like me today.
That's
Anyways,
very
for 2 hours. Well, I'm not reading no more fat girl books until they make it right.
The
I'm
only way
sick
that's
of
gonna happen
it.
unless a quote unquote fat girl write the book.
There's a couple of black fat authors that I have been reading, and they have pretty decent books. But those books are more like telling their own personal struggle with their weight. And I resonate with that because a lot of the stuff that I hear from them, I've heard myself. Like,
Everybody's definition of
I'll
fat
write one for you.
no, because like there was one author I was reading and she was talking about how her mother was consistently telling her she was fat and no matter how much she ate, no matter how much she exercised, it was never enough. And every time she would come around her after she got older, her mother would just ask her like, how big you gonna get? I've experienced that because my aunt did that to me. But I was mad when she did it and I just asked her how old she was gonna get. And and she was like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you keep getting old, so how old you gonna get? My daddy told me I was being disrespectful, but he was like, I ain't mad at you for doing it because I understand why you did it, but you can't do that. I'm like,
He did say he wouldn't have chastised you about it had I not been laughing, because I made it worse because I laughed.
So let me tell y'all before I go.
Child, I
Let me
would have
tell y'all
hollered.
what's funny. I've been married to AJ for 16 years now. We've been married. 15. So AJ hadn't met my mother's side of the family for a long time. Like I went down there twice, and once Gerard had to work, and the second time we went to North Carolina, AJ was in the military. He couldn't come. So every time I would go, they always would ask me where he is. And I'm like, oh, he's working. And then I'm like, well, he just, signed up for the military. So he's in basic and he's at school for his profession. He can't come. So they didn't believe I was married. They didn't believe me. They thought I was like he was imaginary or some shit. So when he did come, he did.
Dang, she kicked out again.
Yeah, because they was doing something.
Oh, there it is.
Because my grandfather had passed away already by then, and you did not meet my grandmother.
Yeah, but they was doing something at the church for their grandparents. Because when me and Dad was there,
it was the because they fixed the grave site then.
Dad mentioned to them that they had to fix it because it had dropped.
And you had stepped in the ant bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so when he came in the church, we came in there together. Okay, it was hot. Dry had on his dress blues, and it was fucking hot. I was not.
No, I didn't have on my dress blues.
You didn't put your dress blues on this time?
No, we were already home.
No, you weren't.
I had on. Yes, we was home because the time that y'all went where I was in the military.
I asked you to wear your dress blues and you refused
because I couldn't fit them.
Yes, you could. You didn't want to wear them. You said, no, I'm not putting them on. But it was hot. You had a suit on.
Yeah,
and I remember it because you stepped in that damn ant bed and it was all over your clothes. And it had rained that day. Mm-hmm. But anyways, that's not the point. We was in the church and my aunt had never met him. My cousins had never met him. But I'm telling y'all, they thought he was imaginary. Because the moment he came in and was holding my hand in my grandma and grandpa church, they all looked at me. Tiffany, that's your husband? I said, yes. This is Gerard. I said, Gerard, that's my cousin TC. That's my cousin Amber. This is my cousin Nicole. And that's my aunt. And I had to tell my dry curse often. So I'm like, baby, listen, we're going to church. Okay? So you cannot curse in the church. And you cannot curse in front of my aunts and them. They older. They not like my mama and my daddy. You're going to have to treat them like you treat my grandma. He said, okay, cool. I got you. I'm like, please do not speak unless you're spoken to. I don't want to have to fight in my auntie house. Please. Please keep yourself together. He said, I promise. I'm going to keep myself together. When my cousin came, was standing up there singing, I told him that he would recognize her immediately. He didn't believe me. My cousin Nicole is a very hippie girl. If I ever get the chance to show y'all on the group chat, I will show you what I mean. But my cousin Nicole is very hippie. And we butt heads a lot. When I was younger, and more specifically my teenage age, like I did not like her, and we did not have like the kind of older cousin relationship you would think. Me and her just did not sit horses, and it all stemmed from one time when we went out. She tried to kind of embarrass me a little bit. So we was all at this little mini amusement park in town, and we ended up going inside. $5, and she just went off on a tangent about how I'm grown and I ain't got the money to be spending on playing no games. I don't play no fucking game. I'm like, girl, what? Who? Like, y'all do that little kitty stuff. I don't do that. I said, oh, okay. So we fronting. All right. Cool. Ever since then, I was cool on her. I went on ahead and I was like, okay, AJ, look, this is my cousin Nicole. So when church was over and they all came to the back of the church because we had to go eat, I literally was not trying to dress up for church. It was hot. So I put on like a denim, like it wasn't denim, but it gave the illusion of denim. Okay. It was that kind of material. It was a sundress. I had on a little shawl, like a little bolero for my shoulders. And I put on some flip-flops because it was fucking hot. I did not put a wig on. I just took my hair out, twisted it out, and I put on a little makeup, very minimal. It wasn't nothing over the top. Jared was dressed to the nines. I made sure that he was presentable for church. Okay. We get ready to get up to go to the back to eat. And they're walking with us and they're looking and they're like, so that's your husband? I'm like, yeah. They was like, girl, we was beginning to think he was invisible. I'm like, no, he was real. He exists. She was like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. I'm like, I think you did, but that's okay. She was like, oh, Tiffany, you know how I play. I said,
No.
okay, girl. My mother was like, Tiffany. And I was like, Mom. She was like, now you cut it out. I'm like, look, there's only a certain way I'm gonna let you keep going when it comes to me and mines. I'm like, they knew I was married. I have been telling them this for years. I'm like, now that he shows up, it's like, oh, we finally get to see him. Like I hadn't been, like he just imaginary and poof, popped up out of nowhere. I can understand it if I had been around him for years and you never came around. And then all of a sudden you just pop up out of nowhere, right? But you knew that I was married. I only come around y'all once every year. So it ain't like it's not true. Furthermore, we have Facebook and AJ was on my Facebook. So you knew full well that I was married and that he existed. But you trying to play me. And I don't like that shit. So I was like, my cousin has 3 girls. And I believe 2 of them got the same daddy and the other one don't. But I'm not sure. We was inside the church. We was inside the meeting room and we were eating and which my cousin Nicole can sing very well. And she was singing and stuff. And she came down to talk to us. He didn't see her fully. When she was to go inside the room, he said, oh my God. I said, Gerard, please. Please. I said, please compose yourself. He said, I gotta go to the bathroom. I said, Gerard. Now my cousin's ass.
Whole Escalade.
My cousin has one of the biggest asses I have ever seen in my life. When I get the opportunity to show everybody in the group chat, you will see what I mean. But her ass is huge. And it's not like she's not an ugly woman. She just has a very hippie body.
Shit.
And I told him to prepare himself because she does, and he didn't believe me. And then when he saw her, he flipped out. And I was just like, please get yourself together. We get inside and go sit down, and he just like, Tiffany. No, I was like, I tried to tell you. He was like, no.
You ain't told me shit.
I did. I did. I swear I told him. But y'all, I kid you not. That happens every time. They don't like people don't believe, especially people I haven't met or people I haven't seen in years since I was like a kid, or people I went to like middle school with or whatever. They don't believe that AJ is real. They think that I'm lying. They don't believe that or they get real shocked and surprised when I tell them that I've been married for XYZ amount of time. They get real surprised. And I just be like, it's a little insulting. And it's always got something to do with, well, I never expected you to get married. Like, to sum it up and to stop ranting and raving about it, in my friend group when I was in high school, nobody expected me to get married and settle down. I was the first one of our group to get married. First one to get married. I've been the one who had with my partner the longest. But actually, my friend Angela has been with her husband longer than I have. She just didn't marry him.
Oh, yeah, Angie and
Louis been together for a minute.
Yeah.
They was together like before we was even in seniors in high school. She was
Yeah.
with him when she was a junior in high school. So like she been with her husband for a long time. But me personally, I just been married the longest in the group. And I didn't expect to get married. I just ended up getting married to AJ. So it's just always like that. It's like, well, you know, you're the fat girl in the group. So I'd be like, so and I'm happy. And you're not.
Ha ha, bitch.
I will rub salt in it. Like you're a salty bitch. So suck it.
The wonder they dehydrated from all that salt,
Right.
salty heifers. You
He
parachute
got the
after
sauces available. I'm gonna get some of them. I ain't gonna be able to go to this pop-up shop this weekend. It's this weekend.
y'all.
Wait, it's on the 16th? Yeah, it's tomorrow. I wish I could go tomorrow and get me some of that.
This hammock is surprisingly comfortable. I'm not gonna lie.
You said what?
It's part.
This hammock is so comfortable. I'm just sweating.
What time you gotta leave tomorrow?
I don't know. I should actually ask. I know it's
You didn't
before.
ask?
Well, they're not picking. Like we're gonna go there at different times. Like I'm not meeting there, and then we're gonna go together. Like I know Cameron and Justin are probably gonna head up earlier than I am. You know they were talking about leaving, like, going up there around 8, and I was like, hell, I can meet up with y'all later in the day. I'll probably leave around like 9 or 10.
Okay.
But let me actually double check.
Well, Rico needs to go to sleep since he's swinging in the hammock right now.
What?
I'm just lounging.
He need to go to bed. Don need to go to bed.
No, I don't.
You do.
For why?
To get sleep. You know what that is.
We all know that I know what sleep is.
We'll take your ass to bed.
I don't need to go to bed. I'm actually waiting on my sister so we can go to cookout.
Y'all live and die by cookout. Y'all ain't gonna eat nothing else.
It's the only thing that be open this late.
Well, fair.
That should be open like 4 o'clock in the morning at the fucking Waffle House.
Yeah, but you gotta fight to go on Waffle House.
Well, I mean, technically, if the people in Waffle House can't fight, I mean, the shit ain't good.
Yeah. If they like each other, it's not gonna be real good.
Right. You gotta make sure
If they say hi, welcome in. Welcome to Waffle House. What can I get you? I don't want it. Now if they say, hey, welcome to Waffle House, give me 1
What
second.
you want?
They ain't doing shit. Yeah, the food back.
I called Waffle House once when we was in Tennessee, and then the lady answered the phone like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "Ooh, let me get."
She said yes.
What?
Yes.
She was like,
like,
"What do you want?"
I was like, you
We
gotta
are
ask them.
swamped. Do you know your order? I was like, "Yes, I do. I sure do. Give me the smothered hash browns, a waffle. Don't give me the pecan. I don't like the pecan waffle. That's nasty.
Can I get that egg, bacon, and cheese with hash brown bowl, please?
Yeah, because if you say that damn waffle sandwich, they're gonna hang up on you.
Can I get a waffle on top of that? Make it 2. I might want 2.
That lady got cussed out. Oh, she had there was a lady on TikTok that was mad because when she called Waffle House for that viral Waffle House sandwich, one of them girls at Waffle House.
You better
I'm
order
gonna
the
cuss
shit.
your stupid ass out too. What are you
Sandwich.
doing?
If you didn't shit yourself,
I don't understand why she didn't just order the peppers.
just yeah.
And then you could have said you want it separate from your grits and order the waffle, and then you could have just put it on there yourself.
Put it on there. Just order the shit you need to assemble the sandwich, and then make the shit yourself.
And I was like, the girl
Not
who
that
posted
fucking
the
hard.
viral TikTok about the sandwich, well, she worked there, so that's how she was able to make it that way.
I would have
I was
told
just
the
like,
ass, we don't make that. We don't. We don't make that. But we can order. You can order all that shit for sure. But I'm not putting it on
but
the
you ain't
docket.
gonna get it. Well, y'all, I'm gonna end this on a positive note. I'm gonna tell
That's
y'all
like
straight up. The writer's strike and the actor's strike is in full effect for TV and film, which means there are going to be a lot of TV shows that are not going to be premiering in September during sweeps week. And there are also going to be a lot of movies next year that are going to be pushed back and will not be coming out during their respective times. Because of this actors writer strike, the SAG actors that are in the guild, they cannot promote any movie that's coming out. So let's say that this strike continues all the way out to December. You know, December is a big month for movies, as is like May, February, and that kind of stuff, right? Wonka's supposed to be coming out in December. The Color Purple is supposed to be coming out December, and there's about 2 to 3 other movies that are supposed to come out in December. Every one of those actors that are a part of those movies are in the Screen Actors Guild, and they will not be able to promote their films, which means executives are going to have to rely specifically on old school marketing tactics, which is TV, film, obviously, going to put it in the theaters, and they're going to have to do social media promotions in order to get people to go see the movie, because the actors, they're not going to go on the red carpet for the premieres. They're not going to be able to go on their press tours. So there's no late night talk show conversations, there's no talk show conversations, there's no podcast conversations. Stuff you are contractually obligated to do, they're not doing. So this means that John Cena and The Rock are completely free for the next couple of months as long as they continue to strike. Okay?
Hmm.
I'm just saying. The Rock cannot film anything. He cannot, unless he is not in the Screen Actors Guild, which I highly doubt. He cannot film a movie. He's contractually obligated to do so. But it's not only reliant on actors. There are background actors. There are stuntmen. There are makeup artists.
all the
Is
important
all
people.
backed by the Screen Actors Guild, and everything has come to a fucking halt. Beetlejuice 2 is done. They're not filming for that. Deadpool 3 is significantly pushed back. They stopped. There's a bunch of other TV shows and movies that have halted due to the Screen Actors Guild not going on strike this past Thursday. Sure. With all that being said, your two favorite people, The Rock and John Cena, are free and don't have anything to do.
Yeah.
They have nothing to do. I'm just saying. I'd love to see The Rock come out there and rock bottom Roman Reigns, and then Jey Uso gets to win the championship. I mean, I'm just saying. It'd be
SummerSlam,
interesting
Hmm.
real interesting.
because it don't seem like that writer strike is going to end anytime soon. But if you want to hear more about that, you're going to have to go to the podcast, because then I break it down completely over there. And I have some more stuff coming up for the next week that is going to come out. All my Pop Culture Wednesdays, and then got Pop Culture Monday limited series out. Then there's a red rum that I had to put out that was a bonus. That's about the mortality rate in for women giving birth. I was looking at that stuff and it really was intriguing. So that's up. You should definitely go listen to that stuff. It's coming. If it's not up now, it'll be up soon. And Down for the Count stuff is going to be up in a second. And I'm going to get with Don and figure out his schedule for next week and see if we can film for the music episode. Um, and I think that's it. Like I said, The Rock and John Cena ain't doing shit. So, well, John Cena can go home, but John Cena could go home. We just saw him at Money in the Bank. So John Cena could go home. Um, I will take The Rock though, but Johnny Boy can go home. Yeah, he can go home. Anyways, Next week we got a couple things that they're gonna be showing on Monday Night Raw. You're gonna have Brock and Cody face to face again. I don't know why this is happening, but it's supposed to happen. Brock is scheduled to show up on Raw, as is Cody. And then you're gonna have next week you're gonna have Wesley going up against Dominic Mysterio for whatever fucking reason.
Clean down.
On NXT. No, he's dirty, Dom.
I refuse to call him that.
Well, he dirty, so
He's the real dirty dog.
He looks like he don't really.
Wowzers. What is that?
What is happening?
What is that?
It's not me. Rico.
Huh?
What is going on?
I had to mute it.
What did I do?
I don't know. Something's going on
It
with
came
your mic.
from you, babe. It sounded like you had a big ass, like you had a vibrator in the damn phone. It did. I was like, what are you doing? If you're doing something personal, I rebuke that.
I'm not. I'm just playing on this hammock. Don't do me.
Whatever. Anyways,
really
on
a
NXT.
It is a
What else did they mention for NXT for Monday Night Raw? It's a couple of things supposed to happen on Monday Night Raw. But anyways, on NXT, they're supposed to have Dom and Wesley going at it. And then, of course, Tony D'Angelo is coming home. And they're going to have a little segment for him. They already have some matches scheduled for the Great American Bash. They've got Mustafa and Wesley scheduled for the Great American Bash, which doesn't lend much credence to Dominic and Wesley going at it, which leads you to believe that Wesley is going to retain his championship against Dominic.
You fucking better.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
and then there's already a scheduled match between Carmelo and Ilya Dragunov, which we all saw Ilya kind of cost Carmelo his match against the Judgment Day this past Tuesday. So I'm sure that's going to come to a head next Tuesday. And of course, like I always mention, Great American Bash is on July 30th. That's a Sunday. And then right that same week, that same following Saturday is SummerSlam. So that's all in the same week. SummerSlam is going to be that Saturday, August 5th. They're going to Detroit. The rooms for this particular pay-per-view, a friend of mine was trying to book their hotel for this show. They want $629 a night for raggedy ass Detroit.
SummerSlam, baby. They open them ticket prices. They know WWE fans travel.
That is fucking insane.
They driving up the ticket prices. I'm pretty sure when Fastlane was here that one year, all the hotels around the queue went up because motherfuckers.
Not to $600 a night, Jared. You don't even provide enough amenities for it to be $600 a night.
Shit, hotel that we trying to get in where we fit in. Fuck that.
No, that's ridiculous. Anyways, you get payback a month or so after that in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's also on a Saturday. Most of WWE's pay-per-views are on a Saturday unless it is
When in September?
Yeah, they're going to Detroit in August. Payback is September.
And then you double back going to Pittsburgh again for Mania in April.
Okay, something is wrong. There we go.
Bitches.
And then they're going back for WrestleMania the following year. I don't know where they're going to have the Royal Rumble at, though. I am very curious about that.
I'm rich, biatch.
And then they have Survivor Series is going to be in Chicago.
Chicago.
My cousin said he going. I hope he goes.
Oh, very good.
Damn it.
Now, I hope
Very
they do
good.
Survivor Series again this year. I hope it's a little bit better than last year's.
Mm.
Is Tyler
I hope
Bates
we
still there? Tyler Bates is still in NXT, yeah. So there you have it. Those are all the pay-per-views. Unless you're an AEW girl or guy, I don't know what to tell you because I don't know AEW's schedule or what they got going on. I know they got
when
Full Gear. Full Gear is coming up, so they're probably going to be doing that. But I don't really care enough to invest in that, so that's your business if you do. Yeah. So that's it. We talked about Rico's book and other books, and when Rico finally published it, I hope y'all read it because it's a really good book. Okay. I am going to go. You guys have a good night. And I probably will see y'all tomorrow after Impact. So, bye.
Holla.
Thank
y'all
y'all so much
bitches
for
have a
being here, and I appreciate every single one of you guys for being a part of my show. Please be sure to check out my wrestling podcast, Down for the Count, with my girls, and of course, the personal podcast with the entertainment, pop culture, and news called the KTT podcast. Like I said before, we have pop culture that we just love to talk about. Okay, pop culture includes any and all celebrity news. I have the Red Rum True Crime series where I talk about all of the stories in the news that have to do with murder and anything very, very high profile in terms of murder. And of course, we have Am I the Asshole Fridays and Twitter stories. That includes my personal recap of the SBC chat and of course, some Reddit Am I the Asshole stories that need my advice, honey, because I just love to talk. So, if you love me, please do me a favor, run on over there and follow both of my podcasts, because the wrestling podcast is where it's at when it comes to the wrestling. The girls always got it handled on that front, but y'all, my other podcast is my personal baby, and I really want it to pop off. So go over there and follow both of them. They're both available on Spotify, and don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in our next one. Bye.